A boy opens his eyes and gasps for air. Suddenly, he panics and grabs his head, asking who was the one that killed him. He looks at his surroundings and wonders what this place is. 10 minutes ago, he was at a party with his friends, where they called him Young Master Lin, and asked if he had been obsessed with the game Grand Jianghu recently. Lin confirms this, stating he has been a wuxia fan since he was young. This was Lin Yi, who adds that it is rare to find such an immersive and majestic wuxia game. Another friend chimes in, saying it is a pity the updates are too slow, noting that Lin Yi has already cleared all the existing storylines. Another adds that the official site announced the 3rd edition storyline will update next month, along with the release of a holographic gaming helmet. Rumors say the helmet allows the user to enter a completely different virtual world and is not a product of their era. But as they talk about it, Lin snaps his fingers, and a maid comes with a holographic gaming helmet, with Lin asking if they are talking about it. Everyone is shocked to see the unreleased helmet, and Lin smiles as his friends express their envy. One of them wishes he could be reincarnated into the Lin family to live a life without worries. Lin remarks they are only half right about that. He explains that his older brothers are too busy with family business to enjoy life, and only an illegitimate son like himself, the youngest, with no qualifications to compete for power, would choose to be a useless dandy. Lin dismisses the talk and gets ready to log into the game, wanting to show his friends the latest martial arts manual he has learned. As he puts on the holographic helmet, his brother's voice echoes in the helmet, saying that Lin Yi's existence is a hidden danger and hopes he can have fun playing in the other world. The helmet explodes, blasting Lin's head apart. Back in the present, he realizes he has been transmigrated. His brother still wanted to kill him even though he acted harmlessly. He wonders if his decision not to fight for his inheritance was a mistake from the start. Just then, memories of his new body flood his mind. He understands these are the memories of his new body, whose name is Chu Xiu. He is the illegitimate son of the Chu family in Tongzhou Prefecture, Wei Commandery in the state of Yan, and as the second of 4 sons born to a common concubine who died in childbirth, he is not valued within the family. His original personality was cowardly and reckless, and he sided with the eldest son, Chu Kai, in the battle for the position of family head. As a result, he angered the 3rd son, who framed him, so Chu Xiu was punished and sent to be a steward at the family's mining area in Nanshan. He was supposed to stay there for 3 years, but since the family is now selecting the next heir, he was recalled early. At this moment, he is on his way back to the Chu family manor. As he processes this new information, he mutters his new name, Chu Xiu, finding it strangely familiar. He takes a sword and looks at his reflection on it. Suddenly, he remembers who Chu Xiu is. Before he transmigrated, the final villain boss in the 3rd edition storyline of Grand Jianghu that was about to be updated was named Chu Xiu, the Demon Lord. The game's description matches his current situation perfectly. Born in the Chu family of Tongzhou Prefecture, his personality changed drastically after family incidents, and he ultimately walked the demonic path. At the end of the storyline, Demon Lord Chu Xiu reestablishes the Kunlun demon cult and leads the 4 great demon venerables to terrorize the Jianghu. Thinking about this, Chu does not know whether to laugh or cry. He is destined to be a big shot, but he also knows that final bosses in games always end up being defeated. His fate seems destined for failure. However, he reflects on his past life, where he chose not to fight and ended up dying miserably. He declares that since heaven has given him another chance, he will take the initiative to fight and rob, for it is better for him to kill others than for them to kill him. At that moment, the carriage curtain lifts, and a maidservant named Yuer enters, asking the young master why he is looking so serious. Chu recognizes her from the original body's memories as a spy sent by his 3rd brother's mother, and recalls how he once thought she was assigned to him by the family and had favored her. Yuer had been using his name to tyrannize others at the Nanshan mining area, ruining his reputation and secretly trying to incite a riot among the miners to get him killed. He tells her it is nothing and says that the knife just fell. Yuer is unsettled by his terrifying smile and suggests they take a small path through Yuanbao town, claiming the official road is difficult to travel due to recent rain and insisting the small path is closer. Chu mentions that the small paths beneath Shangmeng Mountain are frequented by bandits. Yuer dismisses this as a rumor, stating that many merchant caravans use those paths. She then leans in, complaining that the journey has been exhausting and she wants to return to the manor early to take a bath so she can better serve him. But as she looks at him, he smiles like a devil and raises his hand. He pinches her cheek, making Yuer shiver and think he seems like a different person. She cries out that it hurts. He agrees to her suggestion, telling her to go through Yuanbao town. She is relieved, thinking she was overthinking things and that Chu Xiu had not discovered her plot. As she leaves, Chu thinks about how her insistence on taking the small path confirms his suspicions. However, he decides to go anyway because he knows there is a lucky chance waiting for him in Yuanbao town. He understands that his true advantage is not his future identity as the Demon Lord, but his knowledge of the game's storyline. They are in the early stages of the first edition storyline, with more than 20 years before the third edition begins. This means he knows all the major and minor events that will happen in this world over the next 2 decades. He smiles, realizing that a great opportunity is waiting for him at Yuanbao Town. Chu and Yuer arrive at Yuanbao Town, a settlement that appears ancient and bustling. Yuer complains that the town is far less prosperous than Tangju Prefecture and wonders what there is to look for. Chu ignores her complaints and smiles as he spots Tong's secret box shop. Secret boxes are a major feature of the Grand Jianghu world, as legend has it that 10,000 years ago, the world experienced a great catastrophe of heaven and earth, and countless martial arts sects were destroyed in the apocalypse. Before the catastrophe, a formation grandmaster developed secret boxes of various shapes and sizes, which were designed to store supreme treasures and classics to prevent sect heritages from being destroyed by heavenly tribulation. The materials of these boxes vary, with higher quality materials providing stronger formation power and better stored items. After the heavenly tribulation, a large number of these boxes were handed down to later generations, and since the production method has been lost, existing secret boxes are completely scrapped once they are opened. They are often described as limited edition blind boxes that cause people in the Jianghu to flock to them like ducks. These boxes do not necessarily contain valuable things, as most are empty or contain useless items, making the act of opening them a form of gambling that depends entirely on luck. Chu enters the shop and asks the shopkeeper why business is so desolate, while questioning if this is the only shop selling secret boxes in Yuanbao Town, as the shopkeeper explains that even the trashiest boxes cost 10 taels of silver, which poor locals cannot afford to gamble with. The shopkeeper's eyes light up as he realizes the boy is a wealthy customer. He says that those poor ghosts cannot afford them, but surely a young master can, claiming the boxes were found in ruins within the southern barbarian mountains. Chu thinks to himself that he urgently needs a powerful cultivation technique, as the original owner of his body was neglected and had no resources, leaving him at the lowest cultivation base. The path of martial arts begins with 3 realms of body refining, where the body tempering realm is the first stage where one refines the bones and muscles to become robust, though most martial artists never advance past this stage. Above this are the blood condensation realm and the pre-heaven realm, which are the levels achieved by true experts. Chu remembers that in the game's history, a servant bought an ordinary secret box in this town and found a supreme technique inside to become a grandmaster, but he wonders if these low-quality boxes can truly yield a lucky chance. Suddenly, a man named Li Jiang bursts into the shop and demands 2 secret boxes. The shopkeeper recognizes Li Jiang and advises him to stop playing since it is not easy to earn money as a servant, suggesting he use his money to befriend stewards instead of gambling. Li Jiang takes out his money and argues that he does not want to be a servant for a lifetime, believing a peerless skill from a box could make him prominent. The shopkeeper sighs and accepts the money. He then hands Li Jiang a golden box and a purple sphere, but Chu steps forward and declares that he wants to buy all of the secret boxes. He smiles, recognizing Li Jiang as the servant who obtained a major lucky chance in the original story, and realizes that the strongest cultivation technique must be inside the boxes Li Jiang just picked. Li Jiang protests, saying he was the one who wanted to buy those 2 boxes first. Chu glares at him and asks Li Jiang if he has an objection to him taking them all. Li Jiang tries to act tough, asking if Chu thinks he is easy to bully because he is a servant, claiming his membership in the Li family makes him untouchable, but Chu mocks him for using his master's name right after saying he hated being a servant. He calls Li Jiang ignorant for trying to use the Li family name to suppress him. Chu's guards draw their swords and surround Li Jiang. Li Jiang knows that he is only at the body tempering realm and cannot defeat so many people, so he immediately admits defeat and asks to talk the matter over. Chu sneers at Li Jiang's weak temperament, nodding it is no wonder he became a villain in the future, but vows he will not have the chance to succeed this time. Chu orders his servants to move all the boxes away and the guards carry them out of the shop. Li Jiang feels a deep heartache, as if something vital has been snatched away from him. He swears that this matter is definitely not over as he watches Chu Zhu walk away. Back at his lodgings, Chu takes a small blade and cuts his finger, letting a drop of blood fall onto the purple crystal sphere. The crystal begins to glow with violent purple energy as the formation activates. The sphere shatters, revealing a glowing green jade slip. Chu realizes he has found the Taoist secret classic, the pre-heaven transformation cultivation technique, which is a 4th transformation technique that allows one to cultivate true qi and resist 100 diseases, the very power Li Jiang once used to advance by leaps and bounds. Chu knows the hierarchy of martial techniques, where the first three transformations are for small sects while the middle three allow one to found a sect. The latter three transformations are rare treasures held by major sects, but the supreme levels above the ninth transformation are ones he cannot practice yet. He realizes this pre-heaven power can wash and refine his body to reshape his foundation regardless of his age. He decides to use this power to settle down and deal with the internal strife of the Chu family. Chu then looks at the other boxes and wonders if they can bring even more surprises. Meanwhile, Li Jiang goes to see the seventh lord of the Li family, Li Tong. Li Tong is drinking with a woman and greets Li Jiang warmly. Li Jiang reports that he was robbed in town despite announcing the Li family name, making Li Tong outraged that someone dared to rob his people and demanding to know what happened. Li Jiang explains the situation while Li Tong listens with a frown. Li Tong promises to send someone to inquire who exactly is being so arrogant. Half an hour later, a scout returns and reports that the other party is from the Chu family. Li Tong notes that the Li family is the weakest of the three major families in Tongzhou. He warns that they should not provoke trouble needlessly if the opponent were a high-ranking Chu member. However, when he learns it was the second young master, Chu Xiu, he bursts into laughter. He explains that Chu Xiu is cowardly trash who is not even loved by his own grandmother, claiming his status is lower than a steward's and decides to go have some fun with him. Li Jiang is confused, remembering the domineering and ruthless person he encountered, and wonders how they could possibly be the same person. At his lodging, Chu practices a new blade technique called Blue Dragon inside the sleeve. The blade shape is hidden in the body and strikes like a blue dragon exiting the sea. It is a second transformation technique that suits him perfectly. Suddenly, Li Tong and his men arrive outside, shouting for Chu Xiu to come out and admit his crime. They smash the furniture downstairs and demand he get the hell out. Li Jiang points out Chu Xiu standing at the top of the stairs, and Li Tong mocks his imposing air while demanding he hand over the boxes and apologize. Chu asks what would happen if he refuses to hand them over. One servant from the Li family threatens him that he will not leave Yuanbao town alive today. Chu chuckles and says it is impossible to make him unable to leave. He suddenly attacks using Blue Dragon inside the sleeve, and the man falls to the ground. Seeing this, Li Tong and Li Jiang are shocked while Chu asks who else wishes to die. Hidden behind a door, Yuer watches Chu kill a man with her own eyes. She realizes the man rumored to be weak and cowardly did not hesitate for even a second. Li Tong stares in total shock, gasping out that Chu actually dared to do it. Before he can finish his sentence, Chu charges straight toward him. Li Tong tries to block, but it is useless against the immense speed of the attack. Chu stops the dagger right at Li Tong's neck, calling him a piece of trash and ridiculing him for coming to look for trouble. He reminds Li Tong that as the second young master, even if he is the son of a concubine, he is a legitimate member of the Chu family, while mocking him as a worthless side branch member with mediocre talent, who lives off scraps and questioning how he got the confidence to cause trouble, claiming he would only receive a light punishment even if he killed him right now. Li Tong breaks into a cold sweat, finally realizing the rumors were wrong and that this man is terrifying. Chu pulls the dagger back. He calmly hands the hilt to Li Tong, telling him to hold the knife as the man stands there confused. Chu repeats the command for him to take the knife. Li Tong finally grabs it as Chu gives him a direct chance to kill him since he came looking for trouble. The room falls into a dead silence. Chu says once again he is giving them a chance to kill him. He glares intensely at the man. Li Tong drops the knife in sheer fear. Chu smiles mockingly and pats his cheek, calling him useless for not daring to kill even while holding a weapon, then asks who gave him the guts to cause trouble and watches as Li Tong flees the inn in a panic. Watching from the side, Yuer wonders if this is even the same person she once knew. As the Li family carries the corpse away, Li Jiang tries to speak to Li Tong. He gets a punch in the face as Li Tong blames him for the entire mess, promising to make Li Jiang pay once they return home regardless of who protects him. Later that night, Gao Bei bows respectfully to ask why he was summoned so late. Chu studies him, nodding that while Gao Bei has average talent and is only in the body-tempering realm, he is honest. Chu asks Gao Bei if he has any complaints about being dragged along when Chu Xiu was framed and banished to the Nanshan mining area, and Gao Bei immediately replies that he never thought that way and is very happy to serve as the second young master's guard. Chu notes that he has been in the Chu family for over 10 years, working conscientiously for only 2 taels of silver a month, pointing out that many servants who entered at the same time became shopkeepers and managers while asking if he is truly not unwilling. But Gao Bei replies he is clumsy and already content with where he is today. Chu looks at him and declares that he is not content, nodding that even a mongrel fed fine meat for a year would not be willing to eat leftovers mixed with rice again, and claiming humans are no different. He places a hand on Gao Bei's shoulder and states that because they have followed each other for so long, If one suffers, they both suffer, but if one prospers, they both prosper, before asking if Gao Bei understands. Gao Bei says he understands, but Chu Xiu shakes his head and tells him he does not, explaining that while some things are destined by heaven, others depend on hard work and that to rise up, one must risk their life to fight for it. A sinister smile spreads across Chu Xiu's face as he tells Gao Bei that before, he did not even have the chance to gamble his life. But now he is giving him one by ordering him to deliver an invitation letter to the bandit leader at Shangmeng Mountain for a reward of 100 taels of silver and a position as a trusted aide. Gao Bei struggles internally, thinking that while he would have refused before, Chu Xiu's performance today makes him seem like a different person, and realizing he will not see any hope of getting ahead otherwise, so he agrees to take the gamble and listen to the young master. Chu Xiu hands him the invitation letter and tells him to set off immediately, warning that there must not be the slightest mistake. As Gao Bei vanishes into the darkness, Chu Xiu's eyes turn cold as he mentally notes that since Yue dares to scheme against him, she should not blame him for being ruthless. The next morning, Chu Xiu's convoy departs. Inside the carriage, Yue casually asks where Gao Bei is while Chu claims he went back to Tangzhou Prefecture to report their arrival, while a vicious smile creeps across Yuer's face as she thinks that they will never reach the estate in this lifetime. Suddenly, Chu leans close to Yuer and asks if she thinks they will encounter bandits. Her heart skips a beat as she tells him not to say such ominous things, questioning who would dare touch a young master of the Chu family. But Chu Xiu chuckles and remarks that while natural disasters are easy to dodge, human calamities are hard to prevent. At that moment, a shout to stop right there rings out. Chu Xiu steps out and sees they are completely surrounded. The bandit leader Lion Laosin shouts for them to stop. Chu offers a few thousand taels of silver if they want to rob money. Lion Laosin sneers and says a few thousand taels of silver is quite a lot, but Chu Xiu's life is worth more than that, then asks how he wants to die. Chu smiles faintly and notes that if someone is spending money to buy his life, he can also spend money to buy his life back. Lion Laosin laughs and says that while everyone says the Chu family's second son is a good-for-nothing, he is actually quite gutsy. However, he states that he values his credibility the most and tells him to just rest in peace. Yuer smiles triumphantly from the carriage, believing Chu Xiu is doomed. Chu declares that since he cannot buy his life, he can only buy their lives instead. He then dashes toward Lion Laosin. Lion Laosin roars and swings his massive blade. Xiu notes that he cannot feel any internal energy and that the bandit is using pure brute strength while using unorthodox moves, hoping he can hold on until a turning point appears. Xiu punches the blade and deflects that attack. Lion Laosin grows impatient and angry that a piece of trash keeps dodging his strikes. He attacks again and Xiu dodges that attack. This continues until not a single attack hits him. Others watch and call him trash for only dodging. Lion Laosin thinks that if he cannot even take down a piece of trash, it will make him less than trash. Furious, he says that Xiu is pissing him off and tells him not to dodge if he has the guts. Xiu sees the opening and unleashes the skill blue dragon inside the sleeve. This attack makes a small cut on Lion's face, but Xiu only smiles and attacks again, this time making a large cut. Lion is injured and his men rush toward him asking if he is alright. Lion panics, wondering how this is possible. Xiu wipes his blade and reflects that his practice with blue dragon inside the sleeve is still too little, as the blade would have taken Lion Laosin's life if he had not been able to dodge that attack. Enraged, Lion Laosin roars for his men to attack together and kill everyone. As they rush forward, another voice asks if they have requested permission to kill someone. Suddenly, a man appears there. His name is Ma Kuo, and he steps forward with a grin while laughing that he heard there was a big business deal here and asks for a share of the soup. Yuer peeks from the carriage window as her heart skips a beat. She wonders why another group of bandits has arrived, and if the second concubine arranged for even more people to attack. Before she can contemplate further, a second wave of bandits emerges from the road ahead, advancing aggressively. Xiu narrows his eyes as he observes them. The moment Lion Laosin recognizes the man, his expression changes drastically and he clenches his teeth. Lion Laosin growls out the name Ma Kuo and demands to know why he is there, declaring that this is his turf. Ma Kuo laughs at him, asking what else he would want other than to mess him up, and claims that Lion Laosin has snatched his business multiple times, so he is now sending him to meet the King of Hell. Without wasting another second, Ma Kuo launches an attack. Lion Laosin hurriedly raises his own blade to block the strike, but the effort is useless. In the next moment, Lion Laosin's sword goes flying into the air. A deep gash opens on his arm and blood sprays as he stumbles back in shock. He stares at his injured hand while his face turns pale, reflecting on his bad luck and thinking that a wise man does not fight when the odds are against him, so he must run quickly. However, Ma Kuo smiles like a demon and tells him it is too late. Lion Laosin turns to flee, but Ma Kuo's blade cuts down mercilessly. Lion Laosin's body is split in two and he collapses to the ground, dead. The moment the subordinates see their boss killed, they panic and attempt to run, prompting Makuo to order his men to kill them all. As his men chase the fleeing bandits, Xiu stands quietly at the back observing the scene, and noting the yellow-faced man's moves, he realizes the man is completely different from the unorthodox bandit leader, and is actually a martial artist with an orthodox heritage. Xiu steps forward and politely thanks Makuo for the help, and Makuo turns around and smiles faintly, asking the kid if he is not afraid that he will double-cross him. At that moment, Gao Bei runs over and tells Xiu he is glad they made it, identifying the man as Ma Kuo, the chief of Shangmeng Mountain whom he was ordered to find. Xiu says that Chief Ma is a smart man, and since he received the letter, he should already know the situation. He explains that killing him would only yield a few thousand taels of silver at most, but if he does not kill him, he can obtain the batch of refined ore promised in the letter. And Xiu points out that he can then replace all the scrap copper and rotten iron his subordinates are currently using. He asks if it is not obvious how to choose, and Makuo falls silent. Meanwhile, Xiu thinks about how vicious the second concubine is, reflecting that she shows no mercy even to an illegitimate son like himself who has almost no chance of inheriting the family head position. And he realizes that from the moment Yuer suggested taking the small path, she had bribed bandits to borrow a knife to kill him. If she can spend money to have him killed, he can use bandits to protect himself. Makuo finally speaks up, asking if Xiu really did not lie to him. He notes that those ores are very important to the Chu family and wonders if he is truly willing to give them up. So Xiu replies indifferently that since someone in the Chu family wants him dead, he has no reason to care about the supplies. He takes out a document and explains that it is his warrant, telling Ma Kuo to use it to get a batch of ore at a low price and urging him to be quick while he is still the steward. Ma Kuo laughs loudly, remarking that big families have so much dirty laundry, but he notes that Chu Xiu is quite decisive. Ma Kuo invites Xiu to find him if there are good deals like this in the future. He accidentally identifies himself as Ma Kilian before he quickly corrects himself to Ma Kuo, boasting that he is very efficient at killing and even offering a discount for acquaintances. Satisfied, he leaves with his men and Xiu watches them from behind, reflecting on the name that slipped out of Ma Kuo's mouth, Kilian, who is a bandit with a martial arts heritage. He realizes he knows who the man is and thinks that Gao Bei had good luck to hire someone with such a background. Xiu then looks toward the carriage. Inside, Yuer is panicking. She wonders why things are like this and how Chu Xiu, whom she considers trash, could so easily and seriously injure the bandit leader. Xiu enters the carriage. The moment he steps in, Yuer falls to her knees and acts pitifully, asking Xiu if the bandits were all repelled. Xiu chuckles softly and tells her that of course they were repelled, thinking that she is still pretending. He steps closer and asks if she is very disappointed that he did not die. Yuer stammers and asks if the young master is joking, adding that it is a good thing the bandits were repelled and asking how a servant could be disappointed. Suddenly, Xiu grabs her by the throat as his voice turns ice cold. He asks if she really takes him for an idiot and demands that she speak, revealing exactly how much silver his good second mother spent to hire the bandits, threatening her with death if she does not answer. Yuer struggles to breathe as her face turns purple, and she begs to speak, promising to say everything, then reveals that the second concubine spent 10,000 taels of silver. Xiu releases her and reflects on the 10,000 taels of silver, wondering if his second mother hates him that much to be so generous. Yuer cries and explains that the second concubine said the young master stubbornly stands on the side of the eldest young master and would eventually ruin things, adding that the fourth young master was recently won over, so she wanted to eliminate future trouble once and for all. Xiu reflects on the Chu family structure, noting that the master Chu Zongguang has 3 wives and 4 sons. He acknowledges that as an illegitimate son, his probability of inheriting is very small. He had taken sides with the eldest son, Chu Kai, but was abandoned once he was framed by the third brother. He realizes the Chu Xiu of the previous life gave up on fighting for the family head position early on. However, in this life, he decides he must fight for the position of Chu family heir, thinking that with the family's resources, his cultivation can be faster. He looks back at Yuer and asks if there is any evidence of the second mother colluding with the bandits, and she explains that a confidant was sent directly, so no evidence was left behind. She grabs Xiu's leg and begs him to spare her life since she told him everything, and Xiu smiles at her, telling her not to worry because he does not kill women. Yuer feels relieved, thinking he had scared her to death. Suddenly, Chu Xiu snaps her neck in one clean motion. He says that he lied and asks if she actually believed him, calling her naive for trying to be a spy. 7 days later, they arrive at the Chu mansion in Tangzhou Prefecture within the Wei Commandery. Chu Xiu looks out from the carriage. The second concubine steps out to meet him, and Xiu reflects that she is the daughter of Ding Kaishan, the master of Kaishin Martial Arts Hall, and is known for being ruthless and vicious. He steps down and greets her warmly, saying it has been a year since they met, and telling his second mother she has become even younger. Inside, the second concubine is shocked, wondering how Zhu came back alive and if Yuer failed to take him down the Yuanbao town's small path. She sternly asks where his maid, Yuer, is. Zhu sighs, claiming Yuer's body was too weak and that he accidentally played her to death, then asks why the second mother does not gift him another one. The second concubine's heart tightens, and she wonders if Zhu knows about her arranging the bandits since Yuer is dead. She thinks that this Chu Zhu seems like a different person compared to a year ago when he would not have dared to speak like this. She coldly tells him to go in since he is back, informing him that the master and the others are waiting for him. Inside the hall, Chu Zongguang sits on the throne, and Zhu bows, offering greetings to his father, uncles, and his three mothers. Chu Zongguang opens his eyes and acknowledges his return. Zhu observes his father, nodding that Chu Zongguang is in the Xianshan realm and has spent over 20 years without advancing a single step. He thinks it is a pity his father is bent on secluded cultivation instead of family affairs. Chu Zongguang speaks, stating that the Chu family has been rooted in Tongzhou for over 20 years. He notes that the children have grown up and declares it is time to decide the position of the family heir. The first wife immediately speaks up, asking why there is a need to decide, claiming that Chu Kai is the legitimate eldest son and the strongest, so he should naturally be the heir. The second concubine sneers at her, telling her big sister that what she said is incorrect. She argues that they are not royalty where the eldest son must inherit and says the master makes the decision, then asks the third sister if she agrees. The third wife says she is just a woman who understands nothing and that whatever the master says goes. Chu Zongguang calls for silence and declares that he has his own plans. He notes that Chu Kai, Chu Xiu, Chu Sheng, and Chu Shang all hold parts of the family business, and announces that in 1 year's time whoever makes the greatest progress will be named the heir, then asks if they all agree. After the declaration is made, the atmosphere in the grand hall of the Chu family grows suffocatingly silent. Zhu observes everything, reflecting that although the so-called elders of the Chu family carry titles of seniority, they are in truth nothing more than chess pieces, as not a single one of them dares to utter a word against Chu Zongguang's will. On one side stand the first wife and her eldest son, Chu Kai, and Zhu considers them both arrogant by nature and disdainful of restraint, nodding they have even dared to confront the patriarch head-on more than once. Such insolence only deepens Chu Zongguang's disgust toward them. He then considers the second wife, who poses an entirely different kind of threat. He views her as calculating, ruthless, and vicious in her methods, and she has long coveted the position of heir for her own son, Chu Sheng. However, Chu Sheng has no talent for scheming and is utterly incapable of concealing his ambitions. Among them all, the third wife is the most shrewd. He observes that on the surface she appears gentle and seemingly indifferent to power struggles, but it is precisely this carefully crafted facade of virtue that earned the patriarch's favor, allowing her son, Chu Sheng, to become the most cherished child in the household. Having seen through the true intentions of every single person present, Chu Xiu nevertheless finds Chu Zongguang the most puzzling of all, wondering why the patriarch does not care about choosing an heir. At that moment, the first wife speaks up in opposition, arguing that a wuxia family like the Chu family should choose its successor based on genuine strength. As she speaks, she turns toward Chu Xiu and asks him if he does not think what she is saying makes sense. Inwardly, she calculates that as long as Chu Xiu sides with her to create a balance of power, the patriarch will not be able to act too blatantly, even if he favors someone else. Yet to everyone's surprise, Xiu declares that his father must have his own reasons for doing this, and says he has no objections. The moment those words fall, the atmosphere in the hall twists strangely. The second wife stares in disbelief, wondering how the man she had secretly ordered assassinated can stand here so calmly as if nothing ever happened, while the first wife burns with fury, reflecting that this Xiu has dared to defy her will. Chu Kai finally loses his patience and shouts that Chu Xiu is weak and spineless. He demands to know whether he even understands what he is saying and tells him he will give him one last chance to state his true thoughts, but Xiu responds softly, merely reminding his elder brother that he is only following their father's wishes. Chu Zongguang ends the pointless quarrel, announcing that the decision has already been made and declaring that anyone who dares to oppose it would be openly challenging his authority. Xiu calmly proposes that the patriarch grant him additional business assets to manage, reasoning that the Nanshan mining area is far too insignificant for him to earn merit or properly demonstrate his capabilities. Chu Zongguang narrows his eyes suspiciously, considering that the son who remained silent for so many years has finally begun to reveal his ambition. The wives are all stunned as they realize that Xiu is also aiming for the family head position. At that moment, Steward Liu speaks up, accusing Chu Xiu of overstepping his bounds and sneering that all he needs to do is properly manage that single mine. Xiu simply raises a finger and tells Steward Liu to step closer. Steward Liu maintains his arrogant expression as he walks closer, provocatively saying Chu Xiu wants him closer because he was standing too far away to hear. But Xiu just punches him and he falls to the ground. Xiu doesn't stop there and starts kicking Steward Liu again and again. The wives and their sons are in disbelief at what they have just witnessed. The second wife wonders whether Chu Xiu has truly gone mad. Chu Zongguang roars, demanding to know what Chu Xiu thinks he is doing, and asks how he dares to commit such ruthless violence in front of the patriarch and the senior members of the clan. Xiu withdraws and apologizes, asserting that for a servant to interrupt his master's words is an act of extreme insolence, and he claims this punishment is a necessary measure to restore discipline and safeguard the dignity of the Chu family. Xiu looks down at the man and adds that if someone like this were at the Nanshan mining area, he would have long since been discarded and used as a sky lantern. He says that while his father might be merciful, he Chu Xiu is not. Witnessing his son's brutality, Chu Zongguang falls into contemplation. Deep down, he admits that Chu Xiu is right, reflecting that regardless of whose man the steward was, he was still nothing more than a servant, and he realizes his own prolonged seclusion has allowed these subordinates to forget their place. Nevertheless, to preserve the family's public dignity, he chooses to close the matter. He reminds Xiu that this is the Chu family estate, not the Nanshan mining area, and orders that Chu Xiu be fined 3 months of his allowance to cover the steward's medical recovery. Xiu lowers his head and calmly accepts the order, but he does not stop there. He asks his father if he is truly expected to guard that remote mine forever, and asks what meaning this grand gathering to choose a successor even holds for him if that is the case. Chu Zongguang falls silent while stroking his chin thoughtfully. Although he never intended to let Chu Xiu inherit, he understands he cannot treat a son who demonstrated such capability with blatant unfairness. The first wife can no longer hide her agitation. She speaks and accuses Chu Xiu of openly assaulting someone as a direct challenge to the patriarch's authority and insists the matter cannot be brushed aside. However, Chu Zongguang has already reached his decision. He roars back, asking whether she expects Chu Xiu to pay with his life for a mere steward, then declares that once the trade caravan heading to the Yan Kingdom returns, Chu Xiu will take it over. Xiu thanks his father. A faint smile flickers across his lips, as he has achieved the first objective of his plan to reclaim his standing. Xiu mocks the foolishness of the first wife and Chu Kai, thinking they are born into a great clan yet are incapable of controlling their emotions, and he notes they always choose to clash head-on with Chu Zongguang. So to him, a man like Chu Kai who is so much older yet still scrambling to compete with his younger siblings is nothing more than trash. The family meeting ends and Chu Zongguang dismisses everyone. The second wife cannot stop watching Xiu, reflecting that she once believed her greatest enemies were only the first wife and her son. She never imagined the once useless son of a concubine would now possess such terrifying ambition. The scene shifts to the second wife's place. Inside the room, Chu Sheng asks his mother why the arrangement to finish off Chu Xiu failed and how he was able to come back alive. The second wife admits she miscalculated, as she never expected that after 1 year in the Nanshan mining area, Chu Xiu would change so much. However, she reassures her son that the Chu family will not let a madman be the heir, and then reveals her plan, explaining that the steward's father assigned to Chu Xiu's trade caravan are all her people. She guarantees that even if he gets the position, he won't be able to command a single person. Meanwhile, at the pharmacy, along the way, Gao Bei asks Xiu if the people there will truly give them the cultivation resources that were collected by the eldest young master, and Xiu replies indifferently that those old rules need to change. Upon entering the pharmacy, Steward Zhou greets them with mockery. He refers to Chu Xiu as a rare guest and remarks that the second young master never comes to the pharmacy, so Gao Bei demands the cultivation resources for this year. Hearing this, Steward Zhou lets out a scornful laugh, asking if the second young master is making fun of him, and he claims the resources have always been collected by the eldest young master and asks why he is asking him for them. Xiu asks why he gave his resources to the eldest young master, and if he or his father gave the word to do so, but Steward Zhou remains stubborn and tells him to go directly to the eldest young master to ask for them instead. Xiu smiles and says, "Very good," and tries to kill Steward Zhou, but before he can do anything, someone appears and slaps Steward Zhou. It is the chief steward of the pharmacy who erupts in fury at his subordinate. He asks how he dares to speak to the second young master like that, and asks if there is no respect for seniority anymore. He tells the fat steward to shut up because it is not his place to speak here. Turning toward Chu Xiu, he instantly changes his tone. With utmost respect, he begs for forgiveness and claims his subordinate was senseless, assuring him that all cultivation resources are stored here and not a bit is missing. He adds that he also packed a bottle of excellent blood condensation pills and promises to send them over immediately, and Chu Xiu accepts them, saying that a thing like this should not happen again. Only after they leave does the chief steward finally breathe again. Steward Joe remains in shock and asks why he was hit, and why the chief steward was so polite to Chu Xiu. The chief steward replies that it was for his own good, revealing that just a moment ago, Chu Xiu beat Chief Steward Liu half to death in the Grand Hall. Upon hearing this, Steward Joe asks if it's real, and the chief steward issues a stern warning to be even more polite to the second young master than the other young masters, telling him to remember that Chu Xiu is not the same second young master he once was. Meanwhile, Chu Xiu walks away. Afterward, at Chu Xiu's place, he sits calmly in his chair while Gao Bei stands beside him. Gao Bei speaks with admiration in his voice, telling his young master that he was truly imposing just now, and that even the grand steward of the pharmacy was incredibly polite to him, so Xiu tells Gao Bei that it was not politeness but rather the awe that he witnessed. He explains that evil cuts both ways, and if one cannot be kind enough for everyone to respect them, then they must be so evil that everyone fears them. Gao Bei scratches his head awkwardly and says that he doesn't understand. Xiu glances at him and flatly tells him that he obviously does not, otherwise, he would not have muddled along for years without becoming a steward, then orders Gao Bei to find wooden stakes and set them up in the courtyard so he can practice his blade. After that, Xiu's expression turns serious as he begins to reflect on his path. The path of martial Dao is nothing more than talent, perseverance, opportunity, and comprehension. And his talent is average, his comprehension is unknown, and opportunities require strength to seize, so he decides that for now he can only put his effort into perseverance. He continues calculating his gains. He received 30 packs of Bugi powder per month from the Grand Steward and also received 10 high-quality blood condensation pills per year, so the steward certainly knows how to handle matters. Xiu notes that Bugi powder is simple to concoct, replenishing qi and strengthening the body while aiding cultivation, so it is perfect for cultivating the Xianshan Gong. Afterwards, Xiu sits in his room and begins his cultivation. As he circulates his energy, he reflects that Taoist cultivation methods are moderate and peaceful, so the more one cultivates, the more abundant their energy becomes, and in this aspect it far surpasses other cultivation methods. An entire day passes while he remains immersed in his cultivation. Finally, he slowly opens his eyes, a faint smile appearing on his face. He realizes that after a night of cultivation, his miraculous meridians run automatically and the 8 veins are fully connected, so his body already possesses the Xianshan Gong True Qi, and the results are not bad, so next, he moves on to practicing with the blade. He walks into the courtyard to begin his training. Wooden stakes are placed around the courtyard as he has ordered, and his current blue dragon inside the sleeve only has the blade form but lacks the blade intent, so he must practice the most basic blade swings repeatedly. His sword flashes like lightning as he moves past the wooden sticks, cutting them one after another. At that moment, Gao Bei arrives carrying tea. He tells the young master that he has heard some news, and that the stewards leading the caravan assigned to him are all the second concubine's people, so when the caravan returns, they intend to give him a display of severity to humble him. Xiu asks if the other side spread this matter so blatantly, and Gao Bei confirms that it is true, as the information was spread by one of the second concubine's maidservants. Xiu thinks about the situation, considering that the mother and son really do not take him seriously. It is a pity, and they have all thought wrong because with him, people who do not listen are no different from dead people. He turns around and tells Gao Bei to come with him to Shangmeng Mountain tomorrow morning, as they are going to find the bandit leader Ma Kuo. Hearing this, Gao Bei was surprised, but Chu Xiu only smiles, asking Gao Bei what he is afraid of, as bandits do not eat people, and moreover, Ma Kuo will become their greatest assistants. The next day, while in a meeting with the bandits, Xiu tells Chieftain Ma that the matter he wishes to discuss is somewhat significant, so he asks if he could request his men to withdraw. Chieftain Ma claims there is no need, as these are brothers with whom he shares life and death bonds, and there is nothing to hide from them. Xiu acknowledges this and says that he will speak frankly since that is the case. He wants to talk to the person behind Chieftain Ma because he knows they are not actually bandits. Chieftain Ma bursts into laughter, asking what kind of joke that is and questioning what else he could be if he does not look like a bandit. Xiu identifies them as giant bandits and remnants of the Northern Land's 36 giant bandits, and the moment those words are spoken, the entire group of bandits is shocked. Suddenly, Chieftain Ma launches an attack, but Xiu dodges it. Without hesitation, he draws a dagger and lunges toward Chieftain Ma's neck, pressing the dagger against Chieftain Ma's throat. He tells Chieftain Ma to order his men not to get agitated, because if he truly wanted to make an issue of them, they would have been dealt with long ago once a wanted order came down. Then Chieftain Ma grits his teeth and asks how Xiu knew about their background. Xiu says he guessed based on Chieftain Ma's orthodox kung fu and the strict discipline of his troops, adding that Chieftain Ma also mentioned the word Killian, so therefore, aside from the Killian iron cavalry among the giant bandits, he cannot think of anything else. Chieftain Ma curses, realizing that it was he who did not watch his mouth. Xiu reflects that what truly allowed him to confirm their identity was his knowledge of the original plot. Decades ago, Northern Yan was in great chaos, and he recalls that the giant bandits emerged out of nowhere and dared to plunder the imperial court. But later, Northern Yan rose again and joined forces with the extreme north floating snow city sect, crushing the giant bandits in one fell swoop, so the various leaders were either killed or crippled, never to become a significant force again. In the original plot, there was news that remnants of the northern giant bandits appeared in Wei Commandery, and now that plot has begun to move under his control. Xiu withdraws the dagger from Chieftain Ma's throat and asks if Chieftain Ma now understands his sincerity. Ma Kuo asks what he wants to trade with his boss, adding that telling him first is the same thing. Xiu claims to know the whereabouts of the Iron Cavalry's great chieftain, the red-faced heavenly king Pang Hu, and he asks if that information is enough to make a trade. The moment Ma Kuo hears this, his expression changes, and he asks if Xiu really knows the great chieftain's whereabouts or if he is lying. Xiu says that once he sees the one behind Ma Kuo, the truth will be revealed, and besides, once they are there, he would not dare to lie. Hearing this, Ma Kuo tells Chu Xiu to follow him, as his boss is in North Shangmeng Mountain and it will take a few days to get there. A few days pass and they arrive at North Shangmeng Mountain. Ma Kuo explains the situation, stating that after coming to Wei Commandery, his boss established a mountain stronghold, so they built a small stronghold outside just in case. Ma Kuo tells him to wait a moment while he goes to report, and Xiu replies that he will wait. After some time, Ma Kuo returns with another man and introduces the newcomer as Boss Han Bao, formerly one of the great chieftain's personal guards. Han Bao stares at Xiu and asks if Xiu is the one claiming to know the great chieftain's whereabouts. Xiu answers that this is correct, and at the same time he notes that the man is in the peak blood condensation realm, so this person is much stronger than he is. Han Bao snorts at him, telling Xiu to cut the crap and speak about what he wants, warning that if Xiu demands an exorbitant price, he should not blame him for getting rough. Xiu explains that this news was intended as a greeting gift for boss Han Bao. Anyway, according to what he knows, Great Chieftain Pang who was heavily injured by the imperial court, so the chieftain is currently recovering his strength in the desolate mountains of Liaodong Commandery, and Han Bao asks if that is true. Xiu tells him that if he does not believe it, he can send someone to Broken Soul Valley to check, as there are secret codes left by Great Chieftain Pang Hu. Inside his mind, Xiu thinks about how these small details from the game became a big help. Han Bao gestures for him to sit and says he will send someone, promising that if they find the Great Chieftain, he will owe Xiu a favor. He then asks Xiu to speak and tell him what he wants, so Xiu asks what boss Han Bao plans to do after finding Pang Hu. Han Bao sits back and says that he will naturally take his men to seek refuge with him. Xiu also sits down and tells Han Bao that his plan is incorrect. He explains that Great Chieftain Pang Hu is currently resting and recuperating, so going to him now would be useless and would increase the risk of exposure. And the chieftain would not allow Han Bao to follow him either, so he suggests that Han Bao should accumulate money, provisions, and cultivation resources instead. Han Bao replies that those matters will be decided once the chieftain is found and demands that Xiu speak clearly about his intention. Xiu says that he wants to cooperate with them to make money. Han Bao becomes happy and asks for an explanation in detail of such a good thing. Xiu begins to explain that there are many bandits in Shangmeng Mountain who rob caravans for money, and because of this, more caravans are switching to main roads or using more guards. So he asks Han Bao if his business is becoming scarcer as a result. Han Bao admits that this is correct and asks what should be done about it. Xiu asserts that nothing can be accomplished without rules, and if there are no rules, then they will be the ones to set them. As long as caravans hand over a portion of their wealth, they can be escorted safely, and this way, both the caravans and boss Han Bao will benefit. So Han Bao asks if he would not be making enemies of all the other bandits in the mountain. Xiu smiles and says one voice in the entire Shangmeng Mountain is enough, asking if boss Han Bao lacks the confidence to deal with those disorganized mobs. Han Bao laughs and replies that he has the confidence, and if not for his unhealed injuries, he would have resolved that trash long ago. Xiu is slightly surprised by the answer, realizing that this guy was actually a Xiantian expert before and that he misjudged him. Han Bao then asks the kid what he wants for giving such a good idea, and Xiu replies that it is very simple. He has a caravan in the Chu family and hopes it can enter and exit the mountain without obstruction, and additionally, he hopes boss Han Bao can help him kill people. Han Bao grins at him, saying the first condition is no problem, but the news isn't enough for him to act as a hired thug. Zhu responds that what he can give is more than just this information, promising to inform Hanbao in advance about passing caravans, so this way he will not have to worry about wasted trips. Hanbao laughs and says that sounds pretty good, so Zhu adds that he will soon transmit news of a Chu family caravan to him, telling him to consider it a greeting gift. Hanbao's expression changes in an instant, and he asks what the meaning of robbing his own caravan is. Zhu tells Hanbao that it is the Chu family's caravan, not his own caravan. Hearing Zhu's words, Hanbao smiles and agrees. At the same time, he cannot help thinking that when it comes to viciousness, he cannot compare to these disciples of aristocratic families, as they are actually so ruthless even to their own people. Zhu stands and declares that it was a pleasure doing business, telling Hanbao that if there is news, he will send a carrier pigeon to him. The scene shifts to the outside of Chu Zhu's residence, where a carriage is being loaded with goods as the merchant caravan is about to set off. Zhu appears and asks who told them to go. A man steps forward and bows, identifying himself as Zhang Quan, the caravan's steward. He offers greetings to the second young master, so Zhu looks at him and asks who is in charge of this caravan right now. Zhang Quan answers respectfully that, of course, it is under Chu Zhu's charge. Zhu continues and asks who allowed him to load the cargo and set off just now, then questions how much silver the last batch of goods sold for, and asks what was brought back in return. And he demands to know what is being transported in this batch, and asks if Zhang Quan ever discussed any of this with him. Zhang Quan lowers his head slightly and begs for forgiveness, explaining that because Zhu was not present, he asked for instructions from the family head before acting. He asserts that time waits for no one and tells Zhu to rest assured that there will be absolutely no problems with this trip, claiming that if there are any mistakes, he is at Zhu's disposal. Zhu walks closer and places a hand on Zhang Quan's shoulder, asking if he was Steward Zhang and remarking that he has done very well. He adds that he just hopes Zhang Quan will not regret it, and Zhang Quan immediately thanks the second young master for the praise, stating that while working for the Chu family, this servant will never regret it. But inwardly, he scoffs at the second young master. He has gone back and forth with the caravan countless times and wonders what problem there could be or what there is to regret. As Zhu steps aside, he wishes Zhang Quan good luck. The caravan sets off while Zhu remains standing there. He then turns to his servant and orders him to notify Hanbao and his men of the caravan's route and schedule, and the servant agrees. On the road, Zhang Quan leads the caravan forward. One of the servants riding beside him whispers that he has offended the second young master badly, and that after returning from the mining area, the second young master is different. Zhang Quan says that he knows, but he tells the servant not to forget they are the third young master's people. The servant wonders if he is not afraid the second young master will deal with them, but Zhang Quan replies confidently that the Chu family is a great clan and must follow rules. He claims that since they haven't broken any rules, Chu Zhu cannot touch them. The servant thinks that he just feels like this matter is not that simple. Zhang Quan suddenly raises his voice and tells everyone to remember that if they really encounter bandits, they must drop the goods immediately, as lives are more important than anything, and the group responds in agreement. As night falls, the caravan continues traveling, and Zhang Quan suggests walking a bit further toward a decent-sized cave ahead to rest. But suddenly, figures emerge from the shadows of the forest as bandits surround them from all sides. A voice echoes in the night, telling them there is no need to walk anymore, and that if they want to rest today, they should rest here to their heart's content. The moment Zhang Quan sees the bandits, his face turns pale and he shouts for everyone to run. The servants jump down from the carriages and flee in panic, abandoning the goods to save their lives. As Zhang Quan turns to escape, Ma Qiu blocks his path and asks Steward Zhang where he thinks he is going. Seeing Chieftain Ma, Zhang Quan freezes in shock and realizes that they were prepared. Ma Qiu smiles and asks if he is Zhang Quan, saying that young Master Zhu asked him to pass a message to Steward Zhang to have a safe journey to the afterlife. At that moment, Zhang Quan understands everything and realizes it was the second young master. Before he can react, Ma Qiu launches an attack and cuts off his head. Zhang Quan's body falls to the ground lifeless, and Ma Qiu orders his men to go open the cargo, as they should see what kind of greeting gift young Master Chu gave them. Back at the Chu family mansion, the second concubine's son is shouting that the caravan has been robbed, ordering all branches to report to the council hall immediately to discuss matters. He turns to his mother, asking if she thinks this matter has anything to do with Chu Zhu, and notes that Steward Zhang and the others just offended him before this happened. The second concubine says she does not know, and that logically speaking, Chu Zhu should not have the guts, as he does not have the ability to hire the Shangmeng mountain bandits either. She warns her son not to speak carelessly before they have evidence, otherwise it will make the master unhappy, and her son agrees as they walk quickly toward the council hall. Inside, the family head is already there, while several servants report that everyone on site was killed. The family head declares that the matter is dismissed, telling them to remember this lesson and be more careful next time before announcing he is going back into seclusion. But Chu Xiu suddenly stands up, telling his father that right now the caravan has no leader, and says he is willing to lead the caravan through Shangmeng Mountain once again. His stepmother and brothers stare at him in shock with their mouths hanging open. The family head frowns and says caravan transport has always been the most dangerous task, as family disciples have never led the team before, and asks Chu Xiu what kind of trouble he is adding. He asks if he wants to die since he has no experience. Xiu answers that the caravan is currently in a state of panic, arguing that if there isn't someone of sufficient weight to lead, it will be difficult to set off, and he emphasizes that the pharmacy goods cannot be delayed. As a direct descendant of the Chu family, he should lead the charge and boost morale, so he asks his father for permission. The family head looks at him thoughtfully and reflects that he did not expect Chu Xiu's awareness to be this high, acknowledging that the caravan indeed cannot be delayed. After a pause, he tells Chu Xiu to go but warns him to be careful, and Xiu thanks his father for the concern. His stepbrother thinks that Chu Xiu's brain must be broken to snatch up such a thankless and dangerous task. Several servants stand in the courtyard whispering. One says they cannot blame others for pointing fingers since the goods weren't saved and people died, and another servant shivers, agreeing that this time was too scary. Suddenly, Xiu steps in and orders everyone to pack up because the caravan is setting off again for the state of Yan. The servants freeze in shock, and one nervously points out they just had an incident, suggesting they should rest for a period of time no matter what, while another adds that they should think of a countermeasure before leaving in case they get robbed by bandits again. Xiu thinks about how cheap his old dad is for not caring about the Chu family's affairs, and reflects on how spoiled the servants have become. He speaks, asking if resting and thinking of a countermeasure is a joke, pointing out that the ones who died were not them and nodding they did not even suffer a scratch. He asks what they are resting for. The servants fall silent. Xiu steps forward and asks if they thought staying silent would solve anything, telling them that in the Chu family business, caravan treatment is the best, being 10 times that of general labor, and he says that since they are afraid of death, there are plenty of others who want to go. He calls out for Gao Bei, who answers immediately. Xiu smiles and tells him to go inform the general laborers that those who dare to risk their lives may join the caravan, and that the monthly pay will be at least 10 taels, with a promise of 0.5% of the profit as a reward if they return smoothly. As for the current servants, he tells Gao Bei to find Steward Liu for reassignment. The servants panic and beg the second young master for another chance, claiming they were blinded by foolishness, but Xiu does not turn back, stating there is only one opportunity and that those who want to stay should follow him. Soon Xiu and the caravan depart once more. As they move through the dark forest, figures emerge ahead to block the road, and a man steps forward and shouts for the little ones to come out because business is here, ordering them to kill the people and leave the goods. These are Han Bao's subordinates led by Feng Yidao. The moment the servants see the bandits, their faces turn pale. One curses that he wouldn't have stayed if he had known, and another mutters about regretting it, hoping they can survive. Meanwhile, Xiu thinks that it is finally showtime. Xiu tells Gao Bei to get the fire oil and prepare to light it. Gao Bei immediately obeys the command, lighting a torch and pulling down the curtain hanging on the carriage. Xiu dismounts from his horse and steps forward to face the bandits directly, declaring that he will not allow himself to be slaughtered and warning that if they dare to use force, he will burn the goods and fight to the death, then tells them not to dream of obtaining anything. One servant looks confused and remarks that he never would have thought the second young master had such a move, while another servant asks what will happen if they decide to kill everyone even without the goods. A fat bandit steps forward with a smile, telling Xiu that he is still a bit too tender to play this game with his grandpa, and he asks if Xiu really believes he would rather kill them all than take the cargo. Xiu asks why they should go through all this trouble and proposes a competition where they compete in a duel, stating that if he loses, he is at their disposal, but if he wins, they must let the caravan leave. The bandit laughs at the idea, mocking him as a weak young master who lacks the strength to even truss a chicken, and since he wants to die, he will fulfill his wish. One frightened servant whispers that only the eldest young master of the Chu family has reached the blood condensation realm and wonders if the second young master can actually do this. Suddenly, Xiu charges forward and strikes first, his sword reaching the bandit's neck in an instant, but the bandit quickly ducks to easily dodge the attack, and the bandit remarks that the move was not bad. He counterattacks, but Xiu blocks the strike. As they continue to fight, the servants are stunned. One exclaims that the second young master is amazing, while another agrees, stating he really did not expect this and notes that the second young master was truly hiding his light under a bushel. Xiu launches a fierce counterattack and knocks the sword out of the bandit's hand. The blade falls to the ground, and the bandit turns and looks at his fallen sword in shock before beginning to turn as if to leave. Zhu tells him that he let him win, and the bandit chuckles, telling them they can go and admitting he underestimated the enemy, not expecting a young master to have such skill. The servants become extremely excited when they realize Chu Zhu has defeated the powerful bandit. However, Zhu calls out to the bandit respectfully as hero and asks him to wait. The bandit stops and asks what else the kid wants. Zhu says that he does not know how many more bandits lie ahead and offers to hire the hero for 1,000 taels to escort them through the mountain. The bandit grins, telling the kid that it is an interesting and pretty good idea, so he agrees to it. The bandit and his men join the group as escorts, while the servants begin whispering among themselves that this actually seems like a good plan. They wonder why they did not think of this before, nodding that if they had taken the main road, it would have taken an extra month and the cost would have been much higher. And another servant adds that this move by the second young master is brilliant. The group safely reaches their destination shortly after. 10 days later at the Chu family mansion, the family head is seated in the main hall as Old Chen stands before him while giving a full report. Old Chen says respectfully that the second young master made a round trip from the Yan kingdom in 10 days, but the family head frowns slightly at the news, remarking that the kid is too adventurous, then asks what would have happened if the bandits had not responded to tactics, or if that group lacked the strength to escort them. Old Chen replies that the second young master's luck was not bad and mentions that the bandits were actually very strong, explaining that because of the second young master's incident, a new rule has been established where people can hire escorts to pass through the mountain. He comments that all 4 young masters are very capable and suggests that if the family master were willing to give up researching that thing and personally teach them, the Chu family could stand shoulder to shoulder with the Shen family. The family head tells Old Chen not to speak nonsense because he knows exactly what price he paid for it, declaring he will absolutely not give up on his research. Old Chen lowers his head and withdraws from the room. The scene shifts to Zhu practicing his blade relentlessly in his courtyard. Gao Bei stands nearby holding a bowl of water while watching him train and smiles faintly. He thinks that after returning from the Yan kingdom, the second young master has been practicing desperately while forgetting to eat and sleep, and that he was not this kind of person before. Meanwhile, Zhu continues training, reflecting that in the original plot, after he experienced the family incident, he left Tongzhou Prefecture and entered the Jianghu while his temperament changed drastically. However, he still does not know what this family incident is and decides that before that happens, he must step into the blood condensation realm to have enough power to protect himself. Unbeknownst to him, Chu Sheng is secretly watching him. He thinks about how Chu Ziu suddenly rose up and took control of the caravan, establishing prestige and considerable profits, and if this continues, he will definitely lose within a year. Just then, the second concubine comes near and asks Chu Sheng what he is doing. Her son remains silent for a moment before telling his mother that the caravan cannot remain in Chu Ziu's hands. The second concubine sighs and tells him that wanting the caravan is not that easy, as the master will never hand it over to him. A devil's smile appears on Chu Sheng's face as he responds. He says he knows father will not give it to him but asks what if the fourth brother wants it instead, wondering if he would give it to Chu Sheng. The second concubine's eyes light up at the suggestion, and she agrees that the one the master dotes on most nowadays is Chu Sheng, so it might actually work and she decides to go try. A short while later, at the third wife's residence, the second concubine arrives for a visit. The third wife greets her and asks why she did not send word in advance. Chu Sheng steps forward and offers greetings to the second concubine, and the second concubine says they are just chatting, asking if Chu Sheng's shops are doing pretty well. The third wife replies that the shops do not earn much silver and adds that Chu Sheng never planned to fight for the inheritance anyway, so the little money is just right. The second concubine tells her she has misunderstood, saying she knows Chu Sheng does not want to fight for the position of family master, but notes it is better to have a business with large returns. Both mother and son freeze when they hear this. The third wife hesitates, nodding that the Chu family only has so much business and the shops have already been distributed, so asking for more would be a bit ungrateful. The second concubine smiles and suggests they can simply swap instead of asking for more, mentioning that right now, the profits of Chu Ziu's caravan have more than doubled. Hearing this, Chu Sheng's eyes shine with excitement at the thought of the profits doubling. The next day, the family head summons Ziu and tells him his caravan has developed very well during this period, saying that even if he cannot become the heir, he will definitely be a pillar of the Chu family and that as brothers, they must be harmonious and help each other. Chu Ziu replies that what his father says is correct. Inside, he wonders what his father means by this, as his father knows clearly that they were just short of stabbing each other face to face. The family head continues and announces that he wants to give Chu Sheng some experience, proposing to swap the caravan with the shops under Chu Shang's name and asks if he agrees. Zhu sneers, thinking that when the caravan was dangerous, Chu Shang did not go, and now that he has opened the trade route, his father is only now preparing to let Chu Shang take over, nodding this greedy appearance is a bit too ugly. Zhu glances at Chu Shang and says that since father has already made the decision, he will yield the caravan to his fourth brother. The family head says he is very glad he is willing to agree and offers him another weapon shop as well. He then says Chu Shang is still young and lacks experience, so he will let Lin Kaiyan go with him, and Chu Shang immediately bows and thanks his father. Meanwhile, Chu Zhu thinks about Lin Kaiyan being one of the two strongest guest elders in the Chu family, who is in the blood condensation realm. The favoritism is too obvious and tells himself that although they are both sons, this gap is not just a tiny bit. Chu Shang turns to Chu Zhu and offers thanks to his second brother. Zhu replies that it is nothing but warns his fourth brother that the trade route is rugged and he had better be careful. Inside, he reflects that Chu Shang asked for this, as he hates it most when people grab his things. The scene shifts to the caravan courtyard where two men are talking. One man tells Brother Liu he heard the caravan will be under the fourth young master's management now, and asks what he thinks of the situation. Brother Liu tells him not to ask what should not be asked, and that the second young master was good to them but asks how they can go against the fourth young master. At that moment, Chu Shang walks in and asks if everyone from the caravan is here. Liu turns and answers that everyone is here, and Chu Shang tells everyone to pack up because they will prepare to depart tomorrow. Liu points out that they only came back yesterday, reminding him that according to the rules, they should rest for 3 days before leaving again. Chu Shang frowns and tells them that resting every time delays things too much, stating they could have made another trip to the Yan Kingdom, then orders them to listen to his orders and depart tomorrow. Liu tries to explain that the trade route within Shangmeng Mountain is difficult and says without rest, they really cannot hold up, and that the second young master always allowed it, but Chu Shang snaps at him to shut up, declaring that the caravan is under his management now, and tells the managers to stop working as he will arrange for new people. Liu and the others think that the fourth young master's way of doing things is too domineering. The next day, Chu Shang's caravan prepares to set out. Before leaving, Chu Shang asks Zhu what he is going to do, and Zhu answers that he is moving to a restaurant to live for a while. Chu Shang smiles and remarks that his second brother is really capable, asking if he has any experience to pass on to him. Zhu smiles back and tells him the trade route is rugged, warning him to be careful of those bandits and nodding that once they leave Tongzhou Prefecture, the Chu family's face is not very useful. As they leave, Chu Shang thinks that with Uncle Lin by his side, he is not afraid of those petty thieves. Zhu turns to Gao Bei and tells him to come with him to Shangmeng Mountain later, and Gao Bei immediately agrees. At night within the Shangmeng Mountain camp, Boss Han speaks to Zhu, remarking that his idea was not bad at all. He notes that the entire north of Shangmeng Mountain is now his territory and their profits have increased tenfold, so Boss Han suggests they have a good drink and declares they will not stop until they are completely drunk. Zhu replies that there is no rush to drink, as he came this time because he needs help with a favor. Boss Han asks casually who he wants to rob and kill this time. Zhu answers, naming his fourth brother, Chu Shang. Boss Han freezes in shock, his mouth remaining wide open as he stares at Zhu. He thinks that Chu Zhu is truly ruthless, nodding that he has already robbed and killed people from his own family twice, and that this time the target is even his own biological brother. After a moment, Boss Han asks if he should kill the leader and leave the rest alive, just like last time. Zhu demands that they kill all the leaders, nodding that this time there is also a blood condensation realm martial artist among them. And he tells Boss Han that he will need to take action personally, but then adds that his fourth brother cannot be killed since he is still his biological brother. Boss Han looks at him with disbelief, thinking that despite being biological brothers, Chu Zhu still wants him to be robbed. Zhu continues, explaining that Chu Shang has made him very unhappy, so he should simply be crippled. The boss thinks it would be better to just kill him, as in a martial Dao family, being crippled is worse than death. Zhu then explains that his fourth brother is his father's most beloved son, and if he dies, Shangmeng Mountain will never have a peaceful day again. Boss Han's eyes suddenly turn red with pride, and he tells Zhu he is not trying to slander the Chu family, but he claims that with his father's meager strength, he is simply not worth mentioning, and Boss Han boasts that once his injuries heal, he would even dare to challenge Shen Bai, the head of the Shen family in Tongzhou Prefecture. Zhu smiles and tells Boss Han that since his injuries have not fully healed, it is better not to cause unnecessary trouble, and that he would also like to invite Ma Qiuo and his subordinates to come to Tongzhou Prefecture to help him, promising that the payment in silver will definitely be generous. Zhu thinks seriously about his situation, realizing he currently has no one truly capable under his command. Gao Bei is loyal but far too cowardly, while Makuo may look rough but is meticulous, and he believes he will definitely become a great helper. Boss Han thinks for a moment and asks if he is not afraid people will find out he is colluding with bandits. Xiu answers that it does not matter, explaining that Makuo has only acted a few times in South Shangmeng Mountain, and people in Tongzhou Prefecture have never seen him, and he plans to recruit them gradually so it will not raise suspicion. Boss Han turns to Makuo and asks what he thinks. Makuo smiles and replies that of course there is no problem, as he has been idling in the stronghold all day to the point of getting rusty, and thinks this is a perfect chance to stretch his limbs. Boss Han then asks Xiu when he plans to move against his brother's merchant caravan. Xiu tells him to wait until their return journey, reasoning that if they are robbed right after setting out, it would look too highly suspicious. Boss Han immediately stands up and laughs, saying in that case, he will have someone prepare a banquet and declares they will not return until they are drunk, and Xiu finally nods in agreement. The next morning, Xiu sets out with Makuo and Gao Bei following behind him. Suddenly, they run into Feng Yidao, who is now being called Chief Feng. Chief Feng looks at Makuo and asks what he is dressed like that for. Makuo replies that young Master Chu needs some people on his side, so he hired them to help, and he asks if Chief Feng's side has not started business yet. Chief Feng answers that according to young Master Chu's intelligence, a Luo family merchant caravan will be returning from the state of Yan, so they arrived a little too early before the caravan's return. Hearing this, Xiu asks if the Luo family mentioned is the small Luo family from Xungfeng town. Chief Feng nods and confirms that the intelligence was provided by Chu Xiu himself, and asks if he can't remember. Xiu replies that his subordinates collected the information and he did not personally check each report, and that he has another matter he would like to ask help with. Chief Feng immediately tells young Master Chu to go ahead. Xiu explains that the Luo family currently has some items that have caught his interest and asks Chief Feng to help him seize them, telling him not to break the rules too much and to handle it tactfully. Chief Feng turns around to leave, saying that the young master should leave it to him. A smile appears on Xiu's face. He recalls that in the original plot, the Luo family obtained a batch of secret boxes from merchants of the state of Yan, and he remembers that two extremely valuable treasures were hidden inside. But the news eventually leaked, and the Luo family was annihilated by surrounding families. Chu Xiu smirks, thinking he is doing a good deed, since without the treasures, the Luo family will never face extermination. The scene shifts to the Luo family merchant caravan. The servant leading the caravan shouts for them to be quick, saying they will rest once they get out of Shangmeng Mountain. But suddenly, Chief Feng appears in their path, holding his massive sword, and he slowly walks toward them with a grin as panic spreads through the caravan. The steward of the Luo family merchant caravan quickly approaches Chief Feng and offers a pouch of silver, calling them heroes of Shangmeng Mountain and saying here is a 10% toll fee for some drinks. Chief Feng slaps the pouch away, roaring and asking if he thinks 10% is enough to dismiss them. He claims they made him wait with his men all morning and demands they leave all the goods behind. The steward's face turns pale with fear as Chief Feng glares at him and asks if he still has a problem with that. Everyone in the caravan becomes terrified, abandoning all the goods and running away. Xiu and Makuo step out from behind the bushes, and Chief Feng smiles, telling young Master Chu to take whatever items caught his eye. Xiu points towards several secret boxes and says he only wants those, while the remaining goods are for Chief Feng to handle. Xiu smiles and wonders what kind of good items he will open this time. Later, at Chu Xiu's residence, he sits alone in his room examining the items. He picks up a book and murmurs that he actually drew the Blood Blade Sutra, and that in the original world, this cultivation technique was ranked at the 3rd transformation level. He flips through the pages as he thinks about what a wicked and ruthless blade technique it is, noting the angles of the strikes are bizarre and almost impossible to defend against. He considers it an extremely demonic cultivation technique that perfectly suits his taste. He then looks at another item called the Thousand Leaf Plume, recalling it is a hidden weapon created by the Thousand Mechanism Sect, and in theory, it is a single-use weapon capable of killing a Xiantian martial artist. Satisfied, he decides to start practicing the Blood Blade Sutra first. 10 days later, at North Shangmeng Mountain, Chu Shang's merchant caravan moves along the road. Chu Shang rides forward with a smug smile, thinking that swapping caravans with Chu Xiu turned out to be a huge profit. Suddenly, Chief Feng appears and blocks the road. One servant quickly steps forward with a nervous smile and offers some money, but Chief Feng looks at the papers and asks why it is only 400 taels, then orders his boys to go search the caravan. The servant looks shocked and says the Chu family knows the rules and the toll will not be short, but Chief Feng smiles and says they do not get to dictate the rules, asking if there is something fishy going on because they will not let them search. Chu Shang becomes furious and tries to step forward, but a servant stops him and tells him not to be impulsive, suggesting they let them search since they have not played any tricks. Chu Shang suppresses his anger and tells them to search. The bandits begin a thorough search and eventually whisper something to Chief Feng. Chief Feng smiles and says there was something fishy after all, claiming the goods are worth 6,000 taels, so the toll fee should be 600. Chu Shang explodes in anger, accusing the bandits of picking a fight and knowing nothing about prices, and he tells them if they can sell the goods for 6,000 taels, they can take them all. The servant next to him thinks Chu Shang is too reckless, and that they should have just paid an extra 200 taels to buy peace. Chief Feng shouts that the little brat is courting death, raising his massive sword and declaring that today the goods and the people stay. Chu Shang turns to Uncle Lin and tells him he will leave this to him. Lin Kaiyan calmly steps forward, dismounts and walks toward Chief Feng, advising them to let the caravan pass and warning that blades and swords have no eyes, so it will be too late for regrets. Chu Shang smiles with satisfaction and proudly tells the servants that this is what Lin Kaiyan calls the demeanor of an expert. He scoffs, asking why the Chu family should bow to bandits, and calls his second brother a coward for paying silver after winning a fight. The servants are still extremely nervous, thinking that Lin Kaiyan is not invincible and that Chu Shang is too arrogant. They reflect that Chu Xiu's approach was far wiser, and even if they return safely this time, what about the next time? Lin Kaiyan stands there, but suddenly Boss Han arrives, walking forward and dragging his massive blade across the ground. He declares that what Lin Kaiyan said is right, and that blades and swords truly have no eyes, so if they die here today, they should not blame him for being ruthless. Hanbao steps forward to engage in combat. The moment Lin Kaiyan sees him, he is struck with shock, noting that a bandit master has actually reached the blood condensation realm and is approaching the Xianshan stage. Just as Lin Kaiyan prepares to speak, Hanbao suddenly charges at him with lethal intent. With a rapid swing of his sword, he effortlessly severs the leg of the horse. Seeing this, Lin Kaiyan is completely stunned because the skill being used is actually a military combat technique. Without any delay, Hanbao strikes again and roars, "Military my ass," while shouting that he hates the imperial court as Lin Kaiyan desperately draws his sword to defend. But as the blades collide, the steward's weapon begins to fracture and crack under the weight of the blow. Somehow, he manages to deflect the force and slides backward across the dirt. However, Han Bao gives him no reprieve and immediately rushes forward again. The moment Lin Kaiyan sees Han Bao's sinister smile, he becomes even more horrified. In the next second, Han Bao swings his blade once more, snapping the enemy's sword in two and taking his arm at the same time. Severely wounded, Lin Kaiyan falls to the ground right in front of him. When Chu Shang witnesses this gruesome scene with his own eyes, he is overcome with intense fear as his pulse races, thinking that if the steward dies, it is fine as long as he is safe. Meanwhile, Han Bao approaches the survivors and remarks that they simply died like this. At this point, Chu Shang is paralyzed with terror and desperately begs for mercy, announcing that he is from the Chu family of Tangzhou Prefecture, while his servant reflects that bringing up the family name is useless in Shangmeng Mountain. But Han Bao says he will give the Chu family some face and spare his life, ordering them to deliver a message while his men slaughter the stewards and seize the goods to show everyone that breaking the rules of Shangmeng Mountain leads to this result. In that instant, another blow lands on the servant next to Chu Shang, who is ruthlessly killed, causing Shang to become even more terrified and think that even if every steward dies, it doesn't matter as long as he is okay. But before he can react further, Han Bao seizes him by the collar as Chu Shang is consumed by dread. Then he is thrown from his horse onto the dirt where, trembling in fear, the young master asks what he intends to do with him. Without hesitation, Han Bao kicks him directly in the knees and tells him he only said he wouldn't kill him, not that he wouldn't cripple his limbs, before wishing him a better next life. 3 days later, Chu Xiu is training in his courtyard, while Ma Qiu watches his practice and asks where he obtained such a wicked blade technique, remarking that it is not a technique of the righteous path, while Chu Xiu replies that martial arts are only meant for killing regardless. Hearing this, Ma Qiu smiles and reflects that the young master's strength has improved so terrifyingly fast that he is no longer a match for the boy. At that moment, a servant rushes in and reports that the fourth young master has been carried back completely crippled and that Lin Kaiyan is dead, so Chu Xiu suggests they go take a look. The scene shifts to the family hall where Chu Zongguang sits as Chu Shang is brought in on a stretcher, screaming in pain, while Chu Xiu is sitting calmly at the side enjoying his tea. Then the grand uncle tells Chu Zongguang that the boy's limbs are shattered and he will be bedridden for life, which leaves the family head furious but controlled. Then Chu Kai asks why Chu Xiu is in the mood to drink tea when their brother has been reduced to such a state, wondering if Chu Xiu is actually happy. Xiu lowers his teacup and asks if he looks happy, claiming he is on the verge of crying but asking if shedding tears will actually make his brother better. He then stands up and tells Chu Zongguang that now is not the time for grief because if this matter is not handled well, the entire family might end up crying together. Chu Ziu points out that they have already forged a deep blood feud with the bandits and asks if they will fight, noting that a fight requires full preparation while a detour requires a final decision. Hearing this, Chu Zongguang begins to think that if they really fight, the family has very few martial artists who can actually fight besides himself, and considers that challenging a leader of unknown strength is unwise. Chu Kai suggests it is better to discuss this at length since even government troops cannot stop those bandits, while another brother agrees that Chu Shang was reckless to risk a master for a mere 200 taels. The others all agree together. Standing there, Chu Ziu silently observes the situation and smiles inwardly, thinking it is a miracle the family has persisted when everyone only considers their own interests. At that moment, Shang's mother cries and demands justice for her son, but Chu Zongguang angrily tells her to shut up, asking if he should gamble the entire family for one reckless person. The grand uncle remarks that seeking revenge is currently unwise and suggests detouring, leading the family head to spare the bandits for now and ask who will lead the caravan next. Hearing this, the other sons become nervous and quickly look away, knowing that whoever goes to the mountain will be out of luck. Then the grand uncle looks at Chu Ziu and suggests that because he is the most capable, he should go, which makes Ziu realize they only value him when there is danger. Chu Zongguang then tells his son that since his eldest uncle has spoken, he should go, but Chu Ziu asks if the family still has rules. His father asks what kind of words those are and insists that of course they have rules. Then Ziu declares that because there are rules, things cannot be handled this way, and since the business he built was taken from him and ruined, he refuses to accept the task. Hearing this, the stepmothers and Chu Kai are completely shocked, wondering how he is the first person in the family to dare disobey Chu Zongguang. Meanwhile, the family head is extremely furious and thinks about how he will strip away his authority and make him kneel in the ancestral hall. However, he realizes that other than Ziu, no one else is capable of going. Then the mother of the injured son cries that her child is already hurt, yet the caravan is still being taken away, but Chu Ziu coldly asks what those injuries have to do with him. Then his father finally orders for the boy to be carried away so he can recover, announcing that from now on, Chu Shang will no longer involve himself in any family businesses. He hands the caravan management over to Chu Ziu and says no one will be able to take it away, telling him to go to the accounting room to take the silver as long as the family doesn't suffer too great a loss, and Ziu tells his father to rest assured. Sometime later, he arrives at another location and tells a man to fetch 10,000 taels of silver per his father's instructions, and the man says he will do it right away. After taking the money, Ziu thinks to himself that while he originally thought his three brothers were his only enemies, he now realizes that Chu Zongguang is the greatest obstacle since he can never become the heir without his father's agreement. But he thinks that as long as he kills or cripples Chu Kai and the other two, he will be the only choice, and the 10,000 taels will make his cooperation with Han Bao even better. 1 month later. Second Madam admits with a grim expression that she miscalculated, reflecting on how Chu Ziu, the one they spent a fortune to win over, has now become completely uncontrollable, and she realizes his threat now even surpasses that of Chu Kai. Chu Sheng agrees coldly, nodding that Chu Ziu's abilities are far greater than those of Chu Kai and that he is currently in the limelight, so he asks what they should do next. Second Madam says there is no better choice, nodding that the master despises those who cause trouble for him the most, and she explains that if they want to deal with Ziu, they can only do it from the outside. Therefore, she plans to find her maternal grandfather, Ding Kaishan. Sheng mutters that he had forgotten his grandfather, reflecting that the old man is at the peak of the blood condensation realm, and nodding that he has run a martial arts hall for over a decade with disciples spread across the 3 major families, so he will definitely have a way. At the Kaishan Martial Arts Hall, Ding Kaishan sighs with disappointment at his daughter, reminding her that he told her long ago how wonderful it would have been to marry Chen Fan, the illegitimate son of the Chen family in Ludong Prefecture. He notes that Chen Fan was accepted as a disciple by an elder of the Kanglan Sword Sect, a great faction in Wei Commandery, and has already surpassed the Xianshan realm to reach the 3rd stage of the Qi control realm. His tone turns sharp as he notes she insisted on marrying Chu Zongguang, yet after more than 20 years, her husband is still only in the Xianshan realm. Second Madam asks what the point of saying all that is, explaining she came for help and arguing that if Chu Sheng inherits the Chu family, his martial arts hall would prosper as well. Kaishan dismisses the idea, nodding Chu Zongguang is only in his 50s and he will not be able to wait for that day. But he reveals he learned from his disciples that a wealthy merchant from the state of Yan intends to negotiate a major deal with the caravan. He explains they want to purchase ore from the Nanshan mining area and have already paid a deposit, causing Second Madam to clench her fists as she wonders how Chu Ziu encounters all the good fortune. Kaishan smirks faintly, nodding this might not necessarily be a good thing, and he suggests that if Chu Xiu cannot produce the ore, the caravan's reputation will inevitably be ruined, and Chu Sheng will have his chance. But she hesitates, nodding the ore from the Nanshan mining area is indeed under her control, though she intends to suppress it and not hand it over, as she worries that if it affects the family business, Chu Zongguang will not let her off. Her father tells her not to just stare at her little plot of land and to broaden her horizons, asking why she would suppress it when selling it to someone else first would be the best of both worlds. She nervously notes the ore is worth tens of thousands of taels and asks who could swallow that much in one bite, nodding the price cannot be too low or Chu Zongguang definitely will not agree. Kaishan confidently says there is no need to sell cheap, as he will have the Li family buy this ore, and he claims there will definitely be a profit that Chu Zongguang cannot complain about. She exclaims that the Li family is absolutely out of the question, since they are mortal enemies of the Chu family. Hearing this, he scoffs at her fear and asks how she can accomplish anything, telling her not to worry and to sell the ore to him first so he can resell it before asking how much ore she has in a month. She says it is probably around 50,000 caddies. He tells her to have someone deliver it tomorrow, claiming the price will definitely be higher than the market value of 50,000 taels, and the old master smiles deeply with satisfaction as he thinks that she knows nothing and he will make a fortune. The next day, a cart of ore arrives at the hall. Kaishan asks how many caddies of ore were delivered, and the man says 57,000 caddies. He instantly tells him to change the record to 52,000 caddies, causing the servant to panic and note it is a full 5,000 caddies short, meaning he will have no way to explain when he gets back. Kaishan's gaze turns cold as he asks who would make him explain, telling him to just alter the accounts a bit and not to speak nonsense when he goes back, which the servant says he understands. Kaishan then arrives at the Li family and meets with Li Zhao, the third young master of the Li family, offering a flattering smile and nodding that although the family has no Xiantian martial artists, it is thriving under the management of the three young masters. Li Zhao asks what brings him to their door today. Ding Kaishan asks if he knows Chu Xiu. Li Zhao's expression darkens instantly as he calls him a bastard, nodding the boy bullied his subordinate Li Jiang in Yuanbao town and even killed members of their family, declaring that this debt must be settled sooner or later. Kaishan pretends to be surprised and says his purpose for coming today is related to him. He asks if he wants that ore, and Li Zhao nods without hesitation, stating the Li family is in need of refined ore as he offers 70,000 taels for the 55,000 caddies, while declaring he is not afraid of the Chu family. Ding Kaishan agrees and tells him to come and take the ore away within 2 days, smiling greedily as he leaves, while thinking he will give 55,000 to the Chu family so his daughter can explain it while he makes a huge profit. After he leaves, Li Cheng, the eldest young master, and Li Yun, the second, enter the hall and ask what the old fox came here for, nodding he never acts unless there is a profit to be made. Li Zhao smiles and says he actually came to deliver some benefits this time, and he explains the entire deal to them. Li Cheng's face turns serious as he tells his brother he acted too recklessly in this matter, nodding that without their father, the Li family has only stayed safe because of internal strife in the Chen family and the fact that Chu Zongguang has been busy cultivating. He warns that if the Chu family finds out, they will be in big trouble. Zhao dismisses the worry, nodding old man Ding is doing this to help his grandson seize power, and that someone on the Chu family's side is covering for them. But Li Cheng insists it is better to be careful, and orders him to personally lead a team to deliver the ore to Qingyuan town tomorrow to forge weapons. Li Zhao thinks he is being overly cautious and asks what could possibly go wrong. The next day, a servant rushes to Chu Xiu and reports that something bad has happened, as Xiu asks him to be specific about why he is panicking. The servant explains that a batch of ore for which a deposit was paid has been sold by someone in the family, nodding the ore meant for a noble family from the state of Yan was sold by second madam to her father, Ding Kaishan. He explains that if they do not have new ore, they will not be able to trade in Qingyuan town. Furthermore, Ding Kaishan sold the ore to the Li family, and Li Zhao took his men to pick up the goods early this morning, causing Chu Xiu to mutter the name of the Li family coldly. He orders Ma Qiu to gather the men to head to the Kaishan Martial Arts Hall, and Ma Qiu replies that it will be done. Chu Xiu arrives at the hall just as people are moving the ore. He asks if Li Zhao isn't taking things a bit too lightly by trying to just walk away with his things. Li Zhao steps forward with blazing anger and calls Xiu entirely too arrogant, claiming he bought the ore from Hall Master Ding and asking what it has to do with him. Xiu warns there are some things he cannot interfere with and asks if he is truly going to form a grudge over this batch of ore. Li Zhao sneers that their grudge was formed long ago, bringing up Yuanbao town and the fact that Chu Xiu killed his subordinate and slapped his face, while Xiu internally thinks that he really did forget. He calls them just a bunch of unruly servants and asks one last time if he is going to give the batch of ore to him, but Li Xiao refuses and asks what he can do about it. Suddenly, Chu Xiu moves and attacks. But somehow, Li Xiao manages to raise his weapon and block the strike, as the force sends him staggering back, wondering how the boy's strength can be this immense and asking if he has gone mad for attacking over a single disagreement. Xiu continues to attack. One after another, they exchange many moves where each strike carries suffocating killing intent. But then a devastating strike lands on Li Xiao's sword, and his weapon flies from his grasp, leaving him standing frozen with wide eyes of terror as he realizes it is over. Chu Xiu swings his sword and shouts for him to die. But before the strike can land, Ding Kaishan appears and surges forward like an unleashed savage beast. Kaishan arrives just in time, barely managing to block the blow using his gold-splitting hand. He asks if Chu Xiu dares to injure people right in front of his martial arts hall and if the boy has any regard for him at all. Xiu slowly withdraws his blade. He calls him Hall Master Ding and remarks that the old man has certainly taken a lot of pains for that grandson of his. His sharp gaze locks onto Kaishan as he silently assesses him, thinking that this man has been in the blood condensation realm for so long that he has likely reached its peak. He reflects that killing him will not be easy and will probably take significant effort. Without another word, Chu Xiu turns away. As he walks off, he warns the old master that interfering in family affairs as an outsider will not lead to a good end. Watching him leave, Li Xiao asks Hall Master Ding what kind of cultivation technique Chu Xiu is using, and why it is so wicked and bizarre, noting that without intervention, he would have been in grave danger. Kaishan admits he does not know, but the style is definitely not from the Chu family. He notes it is sinister and bizarre, certainly not an orthodox martial art. Outside, Ma Qiu asks curiously why they did not fight that old geezer. He reasons the old man is 60 or 70 years old and his qi and blood should have long decayed, so Xiu could have cleaved him in two with a single strike. Chu Xiu answers calmly that one should not underestimate Ding Kaishan, explaining that because the man has not engaged in death matches for years, his qi and blood have not declined much. Besides, there were too many people at the hall and they would not have gained an advantage. Then his eyes turn cold as he declares he will deal with Ding Kaishan himself, but first he intends to take a trip back to the Chu family. He notes that Chu Sheng and his mother are biting the hand that feeds them, and he vows to make them pay dearly. The scene shifts to the Chu family main hall. Chu Xiu steps forward and informs his father and the elders exactly how the matter stands. He mentions how the family withstood the Li family's suppression to establish their foothold in Tangzhou Prefecture, and argues that selling ore to them is a betrayal of their roots. Chu Zongguang turns his gaze toward the second madam and asks if she really did this. She immediately puts on a pitiful expression and asks Zongguang if he truly does not believe her. She continues smoothly, admitting she sold the batch of ore but claiming she only sold it to her own father. Chu Zongguang's voice deepens as he asks how the ore ended up with the Li family. Without hesitation, she explains that her father's hall needed a batch of weapons, but because of her connection to the Chu family, the Li family refused to forge them. Her father had no choice but to sell the ore to them to get them to agree. Then she produces a stack of banknotes with a faint smile. She declares she would never dare let the family suffer a loss and presents 55,000 taels for the 52,000 caddies of ore, which is 3,000 taels above the market price. She notes her father not only saved them a round trip to the state of Yan but also earned them a profit, asking if that is not a good result. Moreover, she reminds them that when the family first arrived in Tangzhou Prefecture, her father helped significantly, so even if there was no merit, there was at least hard work. Seeing the money, Chu Zongguang falls into deep thought. He considers that the family did not lose out this time and admits she is right about Ding Kaishan helping them in the past. He accepts the money and warns her not to think he is ignorant of her plots. He tells her that if she is ever involved with the Li family again, he will absolutely not spare her. Then he waves his hand and orders the matter to be dropped, saying Chu Xiu does not need to keep dwelling on it either. He tells everyone they are dismissed. At that moment, Xiu realizes that Chu Zongguang actually turns a blind eye to such things, making it seem as if the Chu family does not even belong to him. Outside, Ma Qiu asks if the master severely punished that mother and son, and Chu Xiu replies that he did not. Ma Qiu frowns and asks why his father ignores this kind of behavior, wondering what on earth the man is thinking. Xiu notes that no matter what his father thinks, this matter is absolutely not over. He tells Ma Qiu to have their men ready because he is going to make a move on Li Xiao, declaring that this time they will do it themselves. His eyes gleam with cold ambition as he thinks of forcing his father's hand to make everyone understand who the best candidate for the heir really is. Ma Qiu hesitates and asks if he wants Boss Hand's help so he can send a message. Chu Xiu shakes his head with a faint smile, saying there is no need. He explains that Li Xiao has just reminded him of a very suitable person who can help him wipe out the Li family. At a quiet location, Li Jiang sits alone sipping tea as resentment burns inside him. He thinks that he finally managed to gain the third young master's appreciation, but Chu Xiu ruined everything. Suddenly, Ma Kuo drops an arm over his shoulder. He calls out to Li Jiang and tells him the young master invites him to come over. He tells him to keep his voice down and not to shout, and Li Jiang agrees. Inside the room, Li Jiang freezes when he sees Chu Xiu and shouts the boy's name in shock. Chu Xiu gestures for him to sit and asks if he hates him very much right now. Li Jiang trembles as he wonders what the boy is trying to do, hoping he will not go so far as to kill him. Seeing through him completely, Chu Xiu lays out his bait. He throws a book on the table and explains it is the Chu family's secret cultivation technique, barbarian bull might. He notes it has an excellent effect on tempering muscles, bones, qi, and blood, allowing the man to enter the martial Dao. He places other items on the table, including 10 portions of Buki powder. He tells him that with his monthly allowance in the Li family, he could only afford 1 portion a year. There are also 3 blood condensation pills, and Xiu notes these are treasures he could not buy even with money. Li Jiang's eyes lock onto them as he asks what this is. Chu Xiu answers calmly that he wants Li Zhao's route the next time he travels for business, as well as the strength of the team he leads. He demands that the more detailed the information is the better, stating that Li Jiang must tell him the day before he sets off. Cold sweat runs down Li Jiang's face as he hesitates to answer. Chu Xiu suddenly slams his blade onto the table. He tells the man there are no buts and declares there is only one chance and only one opportunity to choose. As Li Jiang leaves, Ma Kuo asks curiously how Xiu knows this guy will comply, wondering what would happen if he leaked the matter to the Li family. Xiu answers that human ambition is a terrifying thing. He explains that Li Jiang is absolutely not the type who is willing to subordinate himself to others. He claims he merely gave the man a reason to betray the Li family. Ma Kuo laughs and agrees the human heart is truly a complex thing. Back when he was a cowherd boy, his biggest wish was to be able to eat beef. He recalls that he never thought those soldier ruffians would kill his ox, forcing him to flee into the wild and become a bandit. At the same time, in the Li family estate, Li Cheng notes he heard his brother exchange blows with Chu Xiu and asks if he lost. Li Zhao admits that Chu Xiu is bizarre, noting Xiu is only at the peak of the body tempering realm, yet his strength is frighteningly high. He adds that the blade technique is incredibly weird, fierce, and ruthless, making him feel that the boy has not even used his full strength. Li Cheng tells him that when he sets off for the state of Yan tomorrow, he should have Uncle Zhang accompany him. He explains the man is close to great completion in the blood condensation realm, so it will be more secure. Li Zhao says there is no need, questioning why they need Uncle Zhang when Shangmeng Mountain already has rules now. Li Cheng insists that his brother listen to him just to be safe. The next day, the Li family caravan enters a desolate forest. The head steward, Li Zhang, tells the third young master to rest assured and claims that with him there, nothing will happen. Suddenly, Chu Xiu appears, blocking the road. He mockingly asks third young master Li if he is planning to just leave after taking his things. Li Zhao shouts the boy's name in shock. He notes that Chu Zongguang already said the matter was dropped and told the boy not to cause trouble. He asks if Xiu still dares to come find trouble, wondering if the boy is deliberately asking for a hard time. Chu Xiu's eyes burn with killing intent as he draws his blade. He declares that while Chu Zongguang said to drop it, he cannot let it go like this. Li Zhao roars that the boy is courting death if he uses force and orders his men to attack. A brutal melee explodes in the forest as the two sides clash. Ma Kuo charges forward, shouting for the boys to put in some effort since they have been living off young Master Chu for so long. He tells them to let the young master see how cleanly they can kill. Chu Xiu launches an attack against Li Zhao, but head steward Li Zhang steps forward. He raises his weapon and blocks the strike head-on, declaring that he is the boy's opponent. The conflict intensifies as Li Zhang unleashes a devastating blow. The sheer power of the impact is immense, sending Chu Xiu spiraling through the air until he manages to regain his footing. He acknowledges the steward's great strength, reflecting on the fact that the blood condensation realm must never be taken lightly. Li Zhang tells Chu Xiu that he is familiar with Chu Zongguang's personality and is certain the family head has no knowledge of these actions. He declares that if the young master pulls back right now, he will act as if this entire event never occurred. But Chu Xiu does not listen to him and tells Ma Kuo that the third son of the Li family is now handed over to him. Ma Kuo grins while slowly unsheathing his weapon and walking toward Li Zhao. He tells his young master to just leave it to him. Li Zhang swings his heavy iron staff, intercepting the incoming blade with perfect timing. The old monk begins to lecture Xiu, stating that the divide between the body tempering realm and the blood condensation realm is internal. He tells him that even if his physical power exceeds other martial artists at his level, it is useless if he cannot properly condense his qi and blood. Another heavy blow lands, forcing Chu Xiu to retreat again. Li Zhang leaps into the air and brings his staff down with crushing force, yet Chu Xiu remains focused. His eyes track every movement of the staff shadows surrounding him, parrying each strike with flawless precision. A massive smash connects, sending Chu Xiu crashing into a large tree and splintering the trunk. He realizes that this is the tiger-tamming demon-subduing staff. He notes that he never expected a steward of the Li family to come from the Great Illumination Temple, one of the esteemed northern and southern Buddhist sects. He asks why someone like that would ever choose to be a servant. Li Zhang answers that in his past he was merely a fire-tending monk at the temple, not even worthy of a Dharma name. He raises his staff again and asks if Chu Xiu intends to persist so stubbornly now that his origins are revealed. Xiu declares that a mere staff technique is not enough to scare him. The two clash again with equal intensity, the sound of colliding metal echoing through the forest. Deep down, however, Li Zhang begins to feel a sense of dread. He thinks that Chu Xiu's blade technique is sinister and bizarre to the extreme. He reflects that a single moment of carelessness could lead to unimaginable consequences. On the other side, Li Xiao is already on the verge of a total collapse. Ma Qiu attacks and breaks Li Xiao's sword. Ma Qiu laughs and attacks once again, slicing Li Xiao's arm. On the other hand, Li Zhang pushes Chu Xiu away by force as he charges at him with speed and slams his staff. This strike is so powerful that it shatters the earth, causing debris to explode outward and leaving a massive crater where Chu Xiu had stood. In that split second, Chu Xiu leaps high into the air and brings his blade down. He has found the opening he needed, aiming his strike directly at the hand holding the staff. Li Zhang reacts instantly by releasing his weapon and clenching his hand into a fist. But at the same moment his fist slams into Chu Xiu's chest, Xiu's blade completes its arc, tearing a deep cut across the old man's neck. The old monk freezes as shock fills his eyes, then he collapses to the ground dead. Chu Xiu stands over the corpse while breathing heavily. Several of his bones are likely already broken. He thought he was fighting an ordinary martial artist and never expected him to be a disciple of the Great Illumination Temple. He sighs, nodding that fortunately, the monk switched from defense to offense at the final second, or it would not have ended so easily. He also notes that after this fight, he is no longer far from reaching the blood condensation realm himself. Moments later, Ma Qiu drags Li Xiao over. He praises Chu Xiu for killing a monk from the Great Illumination Temple. Xiu asks him if he has seen monks from that temple before. Ma Qiu nods while tossing the prisoner to the ground, explaining that everyone has heard of the northern and southern Buddhist sects. He mentions that the temple is not far from the 36 giant bandits, and recalls great chieftain Pang saying they must never be provoked. He looks at the body and notes that since there are no precept scars, he probably was not an official monk. Li Xiao kneels on the ground. He admits that he has lost and begs Chu Xiu to spare him this once, promising to give him anything he desires. Chu Xiu raises his blade, saying that it is impressive that he can remain calm even now. He tells him it is a pity because what he truly wants is the entire Li family, which the young man cannot provide. The blade falls, Chu Xiu turns away and calmly orders his men to gather all the iron ore and goods. Ma Qiu asks if they should hide or disguise the corpses, but Chu Xiu shakes his head. He declares that he has no need to do that, as he intended for these bodies to be seen by others as a clear message. Later, inside the Li family estate, the atmosphere is suffocating as the corpses are laid out. Rage explodes within the household as the brothers demand to know who did this. Li Cheng grimly reports that it was Chu Xiu, nodding he was seen returning with a large amount of goods and carts bearing the family mark. He mutters in disbelief that Uncle Zhang was a martial artist from the temple. Li Xiao becomes angry and shouts that he is going to the Chu family to demand justice. But Li Cheng stops him and tells him to calm down, asking what justice he expects to find and if he truly thinks Chu Zongguang would kill his own son. He expresses his worry that without Uncle Zhang, the family's enemies will now make a move against them. He tells them to wait for news from the Chu family, declaring that if they really dare to act, he will spend the family fortune to hire someone to severely wound the Chu family's vitality. Meanwhile, in the Chu family hall, Chu Zongguang slams the table in a fury. He calls Chu Xiu a rebellious son and demands that he be brought there immediately. He reflects on how he already said this matter was over, yet his son still made a move. He thinks it is a pity that his most obedient son, Chu Sheng, is crippled while Chu Xiu causes nothing but trouble. Chu Xiu walks in calmly and his father roars, asking if he still has any respect for him as a father. He asks what he told him before. Xiu bows and asks for forgiveness, explaining that opportunity waits for no one and he was unable to report. He mentions that he not only took back the ore but also seized a large batch of goods, which he is willing to hand over to the family. An elder nearby thinks to himself that the way Chu Xiu handled this was actually quite well. However, Chu Kai sneers and tells him that while he does not mean to criticize, Tongzhou Prefecture is small and their family is not the strongest. He warns that pulling a single hair affects the whole body and calls him a bit too capable of causing trouble. Xiu asks if he wants him to return the items, or if he should prepare to pay for Li Zhao's life with his own. Chu Zongguang shouts for them to shut up. He declares this will be an exception, but demands that next time his son must report to him or the steward first. Chu Ziu says he will respectfully obey his father's teachings. The family head then asks how exactly he killed Li Zhang. Ziu explains that although the steward was at the blood condensation realm, he was already quite old. He claims his subordinate launched a sneak attack and captured Li Zhao, which affected the old man's state of mind and allowed him to be slain. Zongguang tells them to leave the matter at that for now and dismisses everyone. Chu Ziu speaks up again, telling his father that with Li Zhang dead, the Li family's morale is unstable, making it a good opportunity to attack. He asks his father to hand over the guest elders to him, guaranteeing he can take down the Li family within 3 days. The elders think this is feasible and call it a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But Zongguang's expression darkens as he tells them to stop thinking about stirring up trouble. He warns that annihilating a family is not that simple and forbids anyone from making a move without his permission. After the room clears, Chu Zongguang speaks to an elder named Old Chen. He tells him he knows what he means, but claims if he wanted to destroy the Li family he could have done so long ago. He explains that the research on that thing has reached a critical moment, and he does not want any accidents. Outside, a subordinate approaches Chu Ziu and notes that since he has returned with the 57,000 caddies of ore, they should conduct the transaction first and then split the money. Ziu tells him to handle it, but then suddenly stops and asks how much ore he said there was. The man repeats that it was 57,000 caddies. A smile forms on Chu Ziu's lips. He recalls that second madam previously claimed the ore given to Ding Kaishan was 52,000 caddies, yet now 57,000 has appeared. He thinks she still dares to say she was not secretly betraying them. Chu Ziu calmly orders the iron ore to be sent to the family first, instructing them to find someone to register and record the delivery. He demands that several more people inspect the goods before they are brought to the merchant caravan. A subordinate replies casually that they are all family and asks why he goes to so much trouble. Ziu answers that it is to preserve evidence, announcing that he is going into secluded cultivation and that everything else can wait until he comes out. 12 days pass as Ma Qiu practices in the courtyard. Suddenly, the door opens and Chu Ziu walks in, having already stepped into the blood condensation realm. The moment Ma Qiu sees him, he exclaims that the young master has already reached the new realm and notes that his cultivation speed is truly enviable. Ziu remains indifferent, asking if anything major happened during his absence. Ma Qiu notes that even though people died, the Li family did not jump out to cause trouble, wondering what else could be considered major. Chu Ziu smiles and declares that it is not that they do not want to cause trouble, but that they do not dare, yet he considers it unlikely they will simply let the matter drop. Inside the Li family estate, two brothers are in a heated discussion. Li Yun says angrily that their third brother is dead and asks Li Cheng if they are just going to leave it at that. Li Cheng calmly holds his teacup and replies that of course they won't, but they need to think carefully about their next move. He notes it is very fortunate the Chu family did not take the opportunity to attack them. At that moment, the fourth son, Li Zi, walks in and respectfully notes that since their third brother is gone, the family is lacking manpower. He offers to step up and take responsibility by leading the merchant caravan to the state of Yan. Li Cheng shakes his head and tells Li Zi that he is still too young. He suggests the best way he can help is by improving his cultivation, telling him to go back and train while promising the family won't collapse. Li Zi lowers his head and takes his leave. As he walks away, he reflects bitterly on the fact that Li Zhao led the caravan when he was 18 or 19. He wonders if he is being ostracized because he was born to a concubine while his brothers share the same mother. Behind him, after he leaves, Li Yun sneers and asks if the boy thinks he can replace their brother just because he is dead. He declares that among the 3 tigers of the Li family, there will never be a place for him. Li Cheng tells him not to talk nonsense, nodding that Li Zi is still their brother. Li Yun scoffs that he does not acknowledge him and claims the boy is just asking for power, thinking too highly of himself. Li Cheng orders him to say less and asks for his thoughts on avenging Li Zhao and Li Zhang. Li Yun clenches his fists, declaring they must have revenge, but he admits he cannot think of a way. Li Cheng's eyes turn cold as he explains that the Chu family is in internal conflict while Chu Ziu is living outside. He plans for the second madam to stall the messengers so that their family can kill Chu Ziu. Li Yun's eyes light up at the idea. Cheng tells him to find Ding Kaishan and pass the message to the second madam while he makes a trip to the Shen family. Li Yun then asks why he is going there. Cheng explains that once they kill Chu Ziu, the Chu family will not let them off, so they must gain the protection of the Shen family even if it costs half their fortune. Li Yun feels bitter that the family has fallen to this point. Cheng declares that delay only brings trouble and they move out. Hidden in the shadows, Li Zi watches them leave, thinking that since they don't treat him as family, they should just wait. Inside a restaurant, Ma Qiu is happily chewing on a chicken leg while Chu Ziu calmly sips his tea. Makuo laughs that the chicken tastes amazing. Suddenly, Li Zi rushes in looking anxious. He tells Xiu that he still has the mood to eat and drink and asks if he knows a disaster is about to fall upon him. Chu Xiu glances at him and says that being mysterious without strength to back it up is just courting death. Li Zi introduces himself as the fourth son of the Li family, revealing he specifically came to deliver a message that his brothers plan to kill him. But Chu Xiu replies with a simple "oh," asking what he wants. Li Zi's eyes burn with resentment as he explains his brothers never treated him as family, and he wants to take back what belongs to him. He proposes they join forces to eliminate them, promising Chu Xiu half of the Li family property if he helps him become the head. Xiu smirks and asks if he is confident he can kill the two brothers. Li Zi smiles sinisterly, stating he is not trusting Chu Xiu but is trusting himself after waiting for this day. Xiu chuckles and declares he likes dealing with straightforward people, so they have a deal. He pushes a cup of tea toward Li Zi, who drinks it in one gulp. Before leaving, Li Zi tells Chu Xiu he will realize this was a wise decision. After he leaves, Xiu murmurs that giving up half the wealth without hesitation proves the boy hates his brothers to the bone. He picks up his sword and tells Makuo to stop eating because it is time to kill some people. At the Shen family residence, Li Cheng sits with the head steward, Shen Rong. Cheng says directly that he wants to kill Chu Xiu and then become a vassal of the Shen family, offering half the family assets as gratitude. Shen Rong smiles and notes that words alone are not proof, asking him to leave some evidence. Li Cheng realizes the man does not trust him but sees no other way, so he signs a document and hands it over. Shen Rong tells him to go ahead and kill him boldly, promising that no matter how much Chu Zongguang hates it, he wouldn't dare touch someone the Shen family protects. Hearing this, Li Cheng smiles coldly, thinking tonight is Chu Xiu's doom. As night falls, Makuo tests a bow in the courtyard, complaining that it is weak and flimsy compared to his cavalry's bows. Chu Xiu tells him to be content since crossbows are mostly used by the imperial court. Suddenly, he senses they are here and tells his subordinate to get ready. Outside the gates, Li Cheng arrives with a large group of men and tells them to test the waters first. Li Yun sneers, asking what there is to test when the enemy only has a few dozen people. The doors open and Chu Xiu walks out. He agrees with the second young master, stating that if they are going to kill, they should do it efficiently. Li Yun points his sword and asks why he killed his brother and Uncle Zhang over a batch of ore. In reply, Chu Xiu laughs coldly, calling him naive, and explaining he originally planned to wipe out the whole family but was stopped by his father. Hearing this, Li Yun notes that the Li family still stands while Chu Xiu is going to die. He asks if he finds it strange that the Chu family hasn't noticed the commotion. Chu Xiu smirks and asks for the details. Li Yun brags about the internal strife, but Chu Xiu laughs and replies that the Li family is going to lose someone first. Li Cheng's expression suddenly changes as he realizes something is wrong. Someone attacks him, he tries to block, but one hidden spike pierces his body. He looks up and is shocked to see Li Zi holding a hidden weapon and smiling wickedly. Li Cheng is in disbelief, asking why he joined Chu Xiu when he is a direct descendant. Li Zi sneers and asks when they ever treated him like family. He shows them the hidden weapon and asks if they remember it. He explains it is the soul-snatching all from the Tang sect, nodding their father bought 3 but he didn't get one. Li Cheng roars that he will cripple him, but Li Zi laughs and tells him to worry about himself. He reveals he coated the weapon in barbarian poisonous vine sap, which means certain death for anyone below the innate realm. The brothers are completely stunned and terrified. Chu Xiu watches with a faint smile, thinking Li Zi is truly a ruthless character. Li Cheng and Li Yun find themselves completely trapped. Just as Li Cheng prepares for one of his attacks, he suddenly coughs up blood and collapses to the ground with a heavy thud. Seeing his brother fall, Li Yun panics for his eldest sibling as Chu Xiu begins to clap from behind them, declaring that the second young master's betrayal is truly brilliant. He remarks that Li Yun should now understand the consequences when brothers turn against each other. In a fit of rage, Li Yun moves forward to strike his younger brother, declaring that he will kill him. To protect Li Zi, his companions immediately step in front of the attacker. Li Zi tells him that he cannot be killed. Xiu signals to his men and commands them to kill everyone. Suddenly, soldiers hidden within the courtyard appear holding the same powerful bows from before. They release a rain of arrows, effortlessly slaughtering the soldiers following Li Cheng. On the other side, Ma Qiu completely loses himself in the battle while slaughtering the remaining soldiers. He laughs that since they are here they might as well all stay. Chu Xiu walks directly in front of Li Yun. Overwhelmed by rage, the second brother roars Chu Xiu's name and lunges at him with his sword, sending multiple blades of sword chi flying toward the protagonist, but Chu easily destroys the attacks and steps back. Li Yun is shocked by this immense power and also retreats. He wonders how Chu Xiu's power is so tremendous when he has clearly only just stepped into the blood condensation realm. Xiu continues to push his opponent back while striking, taking full dominance of the fight. Li Yun becomes increasingly nervous. As his blade nears its breaking point, he grinds his teeth and reflects that if they keep fighting like this, he might end up staying there permanently as well. He attempts to flee, but Chu Xiu attacks him with a blade and declares that he will not be able to escape today. Li Yun tries to block the strike with his already fractured weapon, but it splits into two pieces. A single strike hits him directly in the neck, killing him instantly as he falls to the ground. With the battle won and Li Yun dead, the surviving soldiers panic and begin to run away, shouting that they need to escape quickly. Li Zi is overcome with joy, asking what happened to those who looked down on him, as he is the one who wins in the end. Chu Xiu slowly walks toward him and asks why he is so joyful. In response, Li Zi declares that the family belongs to him from now on, telling the young master that cooperating was a wise decision. A slight devilish smile appears on Chu Xiu's face as he agrees that it was a very wise decision. Suddenly, he thrusts his sword directly into Li Zi's chest. Li Zi is completely shocked and asks why he is doing this. Xiu leans close and whispers into his ear, explaining that his appetite is far bigger than Li Zi imagined. He notes that while the boy was willing to give him half of the family, he wants the entire Li family. He tells him to remember that strength is the absolute truth and advises him not to make the same mistake in his next life. After that, Chu Xiu orders Ma Qiu to clean up the rest of the survivors. Ma Qiu agrees and kills several soldiers at once with a single attack. He asks what they should do with all the bodies, but Chu Xiu tells him to leave them be and proceed directly to the Kaishan Martial Arts Hall. Ma Qiu asks if he is truly planning to move against Kaishan, nodding that the man is the biological father of Chu Xiu's second mother and technically a relative. Xiu becomes serious and declares that the man will soon no longer be a relative, ordering Ma Qiu to kill the old man directly while promising he has his own explanation for the family. Later that night, he knocks on the gate of the martial arts hall. A servant comes out and complains, asking if they are ever going to let anyone rest. Xiu gives no chance for a response and immediately attacks, entering the courtyard. At that moment, Ding Kaishan comes out and angrily shouts Chu Xiu's name. He asks for the meaning of this intrusion and why he is killing people at the hall. He asks if Xiu is not afraid of being punished upon returning to the family, reminding him that he is his elder. Chu Xiu draws his blade and remarks that Kaishan is an elder who wants him dead. He tells the old man that since he is blocking his path, he should just go to hell. Xiu strikes at him with his blade, but Kaishan raises his hands to block, arrogantly asking if Xiu really thinks he is invincible just because he has practiced martial arts for a few days. He blocks the weapon and smiles, asking if Xiu thinks he can kill him just because he managed to kill Li Zhang. He calls the idea ridiculous, nodding that the steward suffered internal injuries in his early years and was already half-crippled. Chu Xiu changes his grip and delivers a heavy slash. As he swings again, he cuts off Ding Kaishan's hand. Chu Xiu now completely dominates the battle and strikes directly at his opponent's neck, beheading him in a single swift move. Xiu sheathes his sword and orders Gao Bei to purchase 4 coffins tomorrow morning, explaining that he intends to present the family with a grand gift. Ma Qiu asks where the young master is going now, and Chu Xiu replies that it is still early, so he is going back to get some more sleep. The next day at the estate, Chu Zongguang sits on his chair as a minister arrives to announce that another council meeting has been called. Zongguang thinks to himself that Chu Xiu had better have a solid reason, or he will not be let off lightly this time. At that moment, Chu Xiu arrives with his soldiers carrying 4 coffins. He tells his father that he has brought a few gifts to present to him. Zongguang asks his son if he is responsible for the reports that many elites of the Li family were found dead in front of his courtyard this morning, and Chu Xiu admits that he did it. His father's expression turns slightly serious as he asks if the boy treated his previous command not to move against the Li family as if it were merely the wind passing by his ears. Xiu tells his father that he would never provoke the Li family and explains that they attacked him first, nodding it would be impossible for him to kill everyone at their estate and then drag the bodies back. Zongguang tells him to rest assured, promising he will make the Li family provide an explanation. But Chu Xiu declares there is no need to trouble him because he has already demanded an explanation himself. He then claps his hands, and his bodyguards place the heavy coffins down in the center of the hall. As the coffins are opened, Chu Xiu identifies the bodies as the 3 brothers, Li Cheng, Li Yun, and Li Zi, announcing that he has already seized their businesses so that Tongzhou Prefecture will only have 2 major families. Everyone present is completely shocked, their mouths hanging open in disbelief. Chu Xiu tells his father and the elders that he is willing to hand over 1/3 of the assets taken from the Li family to be placed under the clan's management. Hearing this, the elders become extremely happy and declare that it is great news, with one nodding that the Chu family's position in the city is now more secure than ever. Chu Zongguang smiles inwardly, thinking that this time his son is finally acting in a sensible and productive manner. The father looks at the boy and asks what is inside the remaining box that has not yet been opened. Zhu opens the fourth coffin to reveal the lifeless body of Ding Kaishan. As soon as the second madam sees her father's corpse, she completely breaks down in a fit of grief and horror. With tears filling her eyes, she runs toward the coffin and asks if he is crazy and why he killed her father. Zongguang becomes extremely angry, slamming his hand on the throne and demanding to know what on earth his son is trying to do by killing a relative. Zhu looks at his father and asks if Ding Kaishan did not deserve to die, nodding that despite being an in-law, he was biting the hand that fed him and colluding with the Li family. The second madam approaches the family head and begs him to seek justice, claiming that even if her father did not make significant contributions, he still worked hard for the clan. Chuzu coldly remarks that he was besieged by the Li family and wonders why no one from his own family came to help, pointing out that Ding Kaishan embezzled thousands of caddies of ore and asking if he did not deserve death. The second madam shouts that it is nonsense while kneeling near the master, but Chuzu tells them to check the family accounts and the testimony of the steward who originally delivered the ore. Chu Zongguang's eyes turn red with rage as he orders for the man to be called in immediately to verify these accusations. The steward arrives and confirms to the family head that Ding Kaishan indeed forced them to alter the accounts at that time. Hearing this, the second madam is completely shocked, realizing her father actually played mind games with her and thinking that she would have given it to him if he had just asked. She looks toward the master and is stunned when Zongguang orders her to be taken away to rest, stating she is too consumed by grief to be suitable for public appearances. Her son Chu Sheng tells his father he knew nothing of this, but Zongguang tells him to shut up, nodding he has only schemed in secret while neglecting his martial arts before ordering him into seclusion. The family head places his hands behind his back and tells Chu Ziu that next time he must report his moves first, or he will be sent to the ancestral hall to reflect on his actions. His father then holds his head and dismisses everyone, ordering the uncles and the steward to send people to take over the Li family's properties. Later, at his residence, Chu Ziu enters the courtyard. Gao Bei tells him that they really struck it rich, nodding that not counting real estate, the liquid assets already exceed 1 million taels, though Zhu remarks it seems a bit small for such a large family. Gao Bei explains that after the Li patriarch died, morale scattered and resources were lost, but Zhu simply tells him he will personally handle his 1/3 share of the assets. Gao Bei is relieved and produces several bottles of pills, explaining he found them hidden very secretly among the resources. Chu Zhu opens a bottle and is surprised to recognize a Bu pill from the state of Yan, which nourishes true qi and refines the body, making it hard to buy even with money. He tells Gao Bei that he has done well and dismisses him. Chu Ziu enters his room and sits cross-legged, thinking that the jump to the innate realm is no small feat, so he decides to swallow the pill and focus on his cultivation. As energy surges through him, he thinks that this body's talent is only average and wonders what lucky chance the original owner obtained to eventually become the demonic cult master. Half a month passes as Chu Ziu practices sword techniques in the courtyard when Ma Qiu arrives clapping, nodding that the young master has improved again, before Zhu remarks that Ma Qiu is also close to stepping into the blood condensation realm. Ma Qiu credits the pills he was given and mentions that 3 experts recently arrived in Tangzhou Prefecture and are acting very strange while staying at the family's inn. Chu Ziu is surprised and asks exactly how strong they are. Ma Qiu replies that he cannot be certain but believes they are above the innate realm, so Zhu reflects that they must be in the qi control realm, which is far beyond body refining. Ma Qiu asks for more details, and Zhu explains that the 5 stages of qi control allow a warrior to injure people using astral qi. He asks what makes them strange, and Ma Qiu explains they are inquiring everywhere about a martial artist surnamed Zhang who possesses an internal skill that becomes vast like an ocean. Hearing this, Chu Ziu is shocked, wondering if this refers to the Chu family's vast ocean mind skill, and if these 3 people are the catalyst for the major change mentioned in the game, and orders Ma Qiu to take him to see them immediately. At the inn, Zhu sits and looks out the window. Ma Qiu points out the 3 people standing by the street. Ma Qiu asks if he wants to meet them, but Chu Ziu says not for now and tells him to keep an eye on their movements without getting too close. At that moment, one of the 3 experts looks directly toward him. Chu Ziu turns his head away, realizing he has been discovered.